Magical Pokémon Urban System. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201 Final Promotion. Suddenly, Mewtwo's telepathic voice reached Liu's ears, but the words he said caught Liu off guard, and he didn't know what was going on. Hey, Mewtwo, what happened? Can you explain it clearly before you leave? Hey. But to Liu's disappointment, no matter how he called, Mewtwo never replied, as if he had already left. Mewtwo also has his own things to do, and it's impossible for him to follow you all the time. And even if he doesn't follow you, it won't have any impact on you, right? Without explaining too much, Shulan just gave Liu a slight reminder, hoping that he could figure out Mewtwo's intentions by himself. But, I know. Liu wanted to say something else, but seeing the expression in Shulan's eyes, he seemed to understand something. Looking at Shulan firmly, he didn't say much, but just told the other party with his eyes, I can do it myself. Haha, hurry up. Otherwise it will be too late. With a slight smile, Shulan didn't say anything more. With a slight wave of his hand, Liu's figure disappeared directly in the palace. Alas, what a troubled time. Audience friends, our 60th contestant who entered the next round finally came back here in the last hour. Let's congratulate him with warm applause and wish him better results. And we also hope that the last 4 places can be decided before the countdown ends. The host Jiang saw that another contestant, Liu, was teleported back by the Poseidon badge, and he didn't react for a while. But after reacting, he immediately played his job and immediately used passionate words to arouse the enthusiasm of the audience. Wow. As expected, the charm of handsome guys is still very great. After such a long game, and it's not a passionate battle, some audiences have already been a little tired. It seems that the little trouble I created didn't bother you. You are lucky, but the next game, you can't rely on luck. Loiter on the high platform saw Liu finally come back. Although she was a little surprised, she just smiled slightly and didn't overreact. Liu, you still remember to come back. Do you know that I'm very worried about you? You disappeared for such a long time, but you didn't even tell me. Seeing that Liu finally returned safely, Linfei threw herself into Liu's arms, tears streaming down her face, and Shuangquan also beat Liu's chest fiercely. Fei, I'm sorry, it's all my fault, I'm sorry. Knowing that it was useless to say anything now, Liu just hugged Linfei tightly in his arms. Woo. Bastard, Liu, you are such a bastard, woo. With tears in her eyes, no matter how Liu comforted her, Linfei just couldn't stop crying, and finally fell asleep in Liu's arms. I'm sorry. Looking at Linfei's tearful eyes and her tired and pale face, Liu felt very guilty. Sitting in his seat, Liu gently hugged Linfei in his arms, without any movement of his body, and also used his spiritual power to block the sounds around Linfei, for fear of disturbing her rest. An hour later, the last 4 spots were finally occupied by contestants, and the first elimination match also came to an end. After the host Jiang gave a speech, the audience slowly left the stage, but Liu was still hugging Linfei, and he didn't make any moves until everyone left. Fei, it's time to get up, the sun is shining on your butt. Gently scratching Linfei's little nose, Liu shouted to the sleeping Linfei. Well, I'm so tired. Liu, you bastard, you actually knew to come back, and when you left, you actually. Linfei looked exhausted with her sleepy eyes open, but when she saw Liu again, she immediately changed into a fighting state, and criticized Liu harshly. Woo. Liu directly blocked Linfei's lips, using actions to prove his love and express his apology. HMPH. After a long time, the two looked at each other. Linfei's pretty face turned red. She snorted coldly, and dared not look at Liu again. Seeing that Linfei was no longer angry, Liu finally breathed a sigh of relief and kept laughing. Liu, Fifi, so you are still here? I was wondering why you haven't returned to the room yet. just when the atmosphere between the two was a little ambiguous, and they didn't know why, Seely's voice suddenly sounded from behind them. Seely, why haven't you gone back yet? The game has been over for such a long time. Shi Linfei got out of Li Yu's arms embarrassedly and changed the subject embarrassedly. What are you talking about? I've already gone back, but I didn't see you respond when I knocked on the door. I guessed that you might not be back yet, and it turned out to be the same as I thought. Seely didn't seem to notice Shi Linfei's abnormality and said to herself, oh, so that's the case. I'm sorry for making you worry. It's getting late. Let's go back together. Shi Linfei apologized to Seely embarrassedly and was very happy that Seely treated them as friends. It's okay. Let's go. I'm treating you to dinner today. Don't refuse. I'm very happy today. Seely was so excited that she didn't know why she was so happy. She even wanted to treat everyone to dinner. Why? Seely, why are you so happy today? Did someone confess to you? Who is it? Do I know him? Is he handsome? Li Yu was curious and wanted to know the reason, so she joked. Humph. I don't care about confessions. My goal is the stars and the sea. I tell you, I'm happy because I've advanced. And I'm not like someone who didn't know where to hide for 2 days and was almost eliminated. Seely looked at Li Yu with an expression of I'm awesome, I'm better than you, and laughed at her and despised her. Didn't I advance too? Besides, what makes you say you're better than me? Li Yu couldn't stand being despised by a woman. He immediately retorted. Since you are asking sincerely, I will be merciful and tell you. This is what happened. How is it? I advanced within an hour of the start of the competition. Am I better than you? Seely proudly recounted her experience. After listening to Seely's experience, Li Yu was speechless and didn't know what to say. Li Yu always thought he was lucky, but today he was completely convinced. Chapter 202 Magikarp Training. Li Yu had no choice but to kneel down and admire Seely's luck, because this luck was really unmatched. It turned out that at the beginning of the game, when everyone was heading towards the 7 islands, wanting to take the lead, Seely was just the opposite of everyone else. She was not in a hurry, but walked out of the Sea God Palace leisurely and slowly, and when most of the contestants had left for a long time, Seely also walked to the location of the Sea God statue. And just as she passed the statue, she accidentally discovered the Sea God badge hidden in the statue. However, for the sake of caution, Seely did not rush for success, but waited until all the contestants left, before taking out the Sea God badge and returning to the square. And Seely also became the first contestant to advance, and the fastest person to get the Sea God badge in history. This speed is definitely unprecedented, and it is unknown whether it will be unprecedented in the future. In addition to lamenting the gap between people, Li Yu didn't know what to say, and in the end he could only sigh in despair and be speechless. Don't be polite, please feel free to eat. I'm treating you today, everyone, eat as much as you want. With a generous wave of her hand, Seely instantly turned into a female man, drinking big mouthfuls of wine, eating big chunks of meat. This is not possible. Haha. Seeing Seely so happy, Li Yu and Shi Linfei couldn't refuse, and it was nothing, so they started eating directly. The meal was a great pleasure for both the host and the guests, but just after the meal, Li Yu was once again tragically reduced to an ATM and free labor. Not only that, it would be fine to accompany 2 women shopping, but what does it mean to buy clothes for yourself and nothing for me? Not even a glass of water? Li Yu didn't dare to resist after offending Shi Linfei, so he could only face the reality with a helpless smile. But Shi Linfei couldn't stand it after all. After all, he was her boyfriend. How could she treat him like this? So she brought Li Yu a drink and a hamburger as his hard work fee. But why did Li Yu still feel inexplicably sad? Time passed slowly, and the official competition finally began. Except for the eliminated players, all the 64 qualified players were lined up in the square, waiting for the matching results. Welcome everyone to our competition site again, and of course there are also spectators who watch the competition through other channels. I'm very happy that you have witnessed the wonderful moments of the competition together. Without further ado, the matching results of today's players have come out. Please look at the big screen. As soon as Jiang Jiangjin came on stage, He still mobilized the atmosphere first, and then directly displayed the list of today's players on the big screen in the square. Huh. There is no game for me today. I can finally take a rest and adjust my state. Seeing the list of today's games, Seely looked back and forth several times. After confirming that her name was not on the list, she patted her chest, as if she was relieved. Are you tired? The first game took less than an hour in total. You are still embarrassed? Hearing Seely's words, Liu was immediately full of black lines and kept complaining in his heart, but he didn't dare to say it out loud because women are really not easy to mess with. Liu, there is no match for you today. How could that be? I'm the first to advance. How could you be the same as me? Liu saw Seely watching it several times again, and when he was wondering what she was doing, he suddenly heard this and was immediately full of black lines on his head again. Linfrey saw Liu's frustrated look and did not want to help at all, and even covered her mouth and chuckled, which made Liu even more depressed. 64 to 32, a total of 32 games, so it will take at least 2 or 3 days. In order to better deal with the game, Liu directly rejected the idea of watching the game together and returned to the elf hospital alone. After such a long time, the strength of all the elves has made a qualitative leap. Especially Charmeleon, Double-Edged Meru, and Yangela. Their strength has improved most significantly after evolution. The strength of the other elves has also improved, and Zyoshan and Zyobei, as both of them are divine beasts, can communicate and learn from each other, so their strength has also improved rapidly. Zyoshan's level has reached level 40, breaking through a level, and also created a new ability, Corrosive Poison Rain. The effect is to condense poisonous rain with burning and corrosive properties through spiritual power. This ability is based on the power of darkness, integrating the other two powers to form a new form of power. Zyoshan has been enhanced in range attack. Zyobei's strength has also improved by leaps and bounds. Not only has he caught up with the main force and reached level 20, moreover, under the guidance of Zyoshan, he has created his own ability. Dark Thunder Destruction. Summon thunder clouds to the world and destroy everything. An upgraded version of Chain Lightning. The power of thunder is more powerful and the attack range is larger. However, what gives Liu the most headache is the Magikarp, which is also stuck at level 20, the threshold of evolution. Today's Magikarp either takes a light leap and takes the last step to successfully evolve and increase its strength, or does nothing, and its strength stagnates. Although Liu wants to help Magikarp, this kind of thing can only rely on themselves, and others can do nothing. However, after seeing the persistence in Magikarp's eyes, Liu still used a method that he had never used before. System, I want to open the mysterious space and send Magikarp into training. That's right, the method Liu thought of was the mysterious space in the martial god cauldron. Since he opened this ability, he has never used it before. It was because Liu's points were not enough. Although his points are enough now, Liu doesn't want the elves to use this method unless he has no choice. But since Magikarp strongly requested it, Liu couldn't refuse his pursuit of strength, and the mysterious space is not without benefits. Liu didn't want the elves to use it just because the training in it is too cruel and harsh, and it is definitely not easy to pass. Ding. Consume 100,000 points. 1 elf first evolution card. The training time is 3 days. Please wait patiently. The system's prompt sound came, but these consumptions are nothing to Liu, so he can ignore it directly. Sure. After the system's prompt sound ended, Magikarp's figure also disappeared in a flash, obviously being teleported to the mysterious space. Come on, Magikarp, I hope you can successfully achieve your goal. I believe you can do it. Unable to do anything, Liu could only silently cheer for Magikarp in his heart. Deep in his heart, there was also a glimmer of expectation and hope. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203 Fusion of the Mysterious Light Sphere. System. After the mysterious light ball merges, what special reward will I get? Can you tell me in advance? With a thought, Liu's figure came to the location of the mysterious light ball. Looking at the light ball emitting a hazy light in front of him, Liu was very curious about the special reward that the system mentioned that day. What exactly is it? Ding, the system cannot tell you. Please choose to merge and wait for the system prompt. But the system obviously won't tell Liu so easily. The mechanical sound resounded in Liu's mind, but the disappointed answer made Liu extremely depressed. Then merge. Really, it's not human at all. Don't you know how to make some adjustments? Helplessly Liu could only choose to confirm the fusion, but even so, Liu was still unhappy and slandered the system. Buzz buzz buzz. Just after Liu chose to merge, in a mysterious place in the system world, a colorful bead was spinning, and it seemed very excited. Hehe. Not only that, the fat boy who was playing around in the system world also suddenly smiled for some reason, and his body, which was originally the size of a 1-year-old child, was also growing slowly. But even though Liu was the master of the system world, he didn't find anything about all this. Obviously, there are still many secrets hidden in this system world, waiting for Liu to dig. Starting to practice again, Liu felt that he was not far from another breakthrough. To say the reason, it can only be said that this was Liu's intuition. Liu didn't leave the system world until dinner in the evening. While having dinner with Shilinfei, Liu also learned about today's competition from her. There were a total of 32 games, and today there were a total of 18 games. Perhaps it was because the players' conditions were not adjusted well on the first day, so they did not play their full strength. However, these have nothing to do with Liu. Although there may be the next opponent, Liu thinks there is nothing to watch. Moreover, the players selected for the Sea Hero Championship were originally rookie trainers. Even the best of them are only at the peak of the intermediate trainer. Therefore, Liu thinks that his strength is still okay. Maybe it is unlikely to win the final championship, but he is still confident that he can enter the top 10. The reason why Liu has this confidence is that Liu has searched the information of all the qualified players through the system network. Otherwise, Liu would not be so confident. Not only would he not watch the game, but he would not pay attention to the game situation of other players. Among the 32 qualified players, excluding Liu himself and Sealy, Liu knew that there were only 4 players with the strength of the peak of the intermediate trainer. One of them was the arrogant Yulong Zuns whom Liu met that day. Liu really didn't expect that this guy's strength was so strong. In just less than a year, his strength reached the peak of the intermediate trainer. As long as there is one more breakthrough in strength, you can pass the assessment of advanced trainers. As a descendant of the Yulong family, Yulong Zun's initial Pokémon is unsurprisingly a dragon Pokémon, and it is also his most powerful trump card Pokémon. Single-headed dragon, a Pokémon of darkness and dragon. Although the dragon type is only a secondary attribute of single-headed dragon, his talent is not much different from that of dragon Pokémon. The other 3 are Milancow from the grass family of the 3 Yulong families. She is a very beautiful beauty, and is very popular around the family city of Muling City. The Pokémon that Milancow is good at using is Roserade, a grass type and poison type Pokémon. She is especially good at status attacks, and can consume the opponent's Pokémon alive, until she loses her combat effectiveness. The second is Yuling from the flying family. In just 6 months, his strength has reached such a level, which shows how talented he is. The Pokémon that Yuling is good at using, is also a family exclusive Pokémon, a fairy type and flying type Pokémon. Pokémon is originally an auxiliary Pokémon, but under Yuling's training, it is very good at energy attacks. The control of skills and the power of skills are all outstanding among the same kind. The last one is Yu Yu Hakusho from the Ghost family. It is said that this person is very mysterious. Since the beginning of the adventure, he has been wearing a black mask and has never revealed his true face. Of course, with the help of a powerful system, Liu was able to easily see the true face of Yu Yu Hakusho. However, Liu had to say that Yu Yu Hakusho was indeed a very handsome guy. Although this guy has a somewhat cold personality, his strength is worthy of his coldness. The Pokémon he is best at using is a ghost type and poison type Haunter. Yu Yu Hakusho's Haunter is extremely good at shadow attacks. Often, before the opponent finds his position, he directly defeats the opponent with powerful skills. just like the ancient assassins of China on Earth, hiding in the dark world of shadows. If he doesn't take action, the enemy will be fatally hit. Liu has no confidence in defeating these 4 children from the family. Although he is very unhappy with Yu Langzun's, Liu is helpless. HMPH. You'd better not meet me, otherwise, even if I can't defeat you, I will make you lose a layer of skin. He secretly made up his mind. Although he knew that Yu Langzun's was coming with great momentum, and it was definitely not a good thing, Liu would not just sit there and wait for death. By the way, Liu, you will have match tomorrow. Do you have confidence? Do you want me to help you check the information of your opponent? After all, only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you win every battle. After swallowing the food in her mouth, Shi Linfei suddenly remembered something and asked Liu, well, don't bother you, I can do it myself. You must be tired after watching the game all day. Xiaopang hasn't played with you for several days. You can go and accompany him and then go to rest. As for the opponent of the game, I can find out by myself. Liu had already known the information of the opponent, so he refused directly. In order not to let Shi Linfei worry, Liu asked her to accompany Xiaopang to divert her attention. Well, Xiaopang looks different every day, he grows up so fast. I have never seen such an elf, or maybe he is not an elf at all. Why do I feel that he is no different from humans? Talking about Xiaopang, Shi Linfei's eyes were full of maternal love, but there was still a trace of worry. I wonder if Xiaopang is in good or bad condition now? He looks so healthy, how could there be a problem? And the magical continent is so huge, it must be different from the animation. Don't be so suspicious. Although Liu had the same idea in his heart, he couldn't say it out loud. Because there is no benefit in doing so, it will only make Shi Linfei more worried. Well, yes, I'm too worried. Shi Linfei nodded, agreeing with Liu's idea. Chapter 204 First Battle vs Enki. The last match was really exciting. Yu Yu Hakusho's performance was amazing. He is indeed a young genius from the Ghost family. But I believe that the next match will be even more exciting. Let's welcome the 2 players of the third match with warm applause. The second day's match went on as usual, and Liu was the player of the third match today, and before him was Yu Yu Hakusho, one of the 4 masters. In just 3 minutes, Yu Yu Hakusho defeated the opponent's 4 elves with lightning speed, without giving the opponent any breathing time. In the previous few matches, only 4 elves were required to be used, and only after the top 8 players were selected, 6 elves would be used for the battle. The contestant on the left is Liu from Kingmu Town. As a special contestant of the High Priest, Liu definitely has a special talent. Let's wait and see. The contestant on the right is also an outstanding contestant, Angel from Kikayo City. Miss Angel is not only beautiful, but also very powerful among rookie trainers. I believe many people must have heard of Miss Angel, because she always ranks among the top in the informal rookie competition in the Kanto region, and her best Pokémon is Gardevoir. After introducing the 2 contestants, Jiangjin saw the audience's warm applause fall, and then slowly spoke again. Then without saying too much, the competition officially begins. Let's look forward to the wonderful performance of the 2 contestants. There was no referee in this competition, because under the watchful eyes of the High Priest Loiter, no one dared to cheat in public. Come out, my first Pokémon, Charmeleon. Bulbasaur, it's up to you. The 2 released their Pokémon at the same time. Liu's Pokémon was Charmeleon without any surprise, and Angel's Pokémon was Bulbasaur. Although she knew that Venusaur was not superior in attributes, Anki only blinked her eyes and had no intention of changing the Pokémon. Vulpes, Sleep Powder. Since there was no advantage in attributes, she might as well take the initiative and get rid of the opponent before the opponent could react. HMPH. Charmeleon. Heat Blast. As soon as Venusaur appeared, Liu had clearly seen its attributes. Liu instantly made a judgment on the strength of both parties. Pokémon, Venusaur attributes, Grass plus Poison qualification, Diamond level, Bronze level 22 features, Chlorophyll effect. When the weather outside is sunny, its own strength will be improved. Ability, talented skill, Flower Dance. The rest are not activated. Learning skill. Leaf Blade plus Vine Whip plus Parasitic Seed plus Sleep Powder plus Venom Attack is a very normal attribute, and there is nothing particularly outstanding. Liu thinks that Venusaur is still a lot worse than Charmeleon. Even though Charmeleon's level is not as high as Venusaur, the restraint and attributes can offset this gap well. Boom. The scorching storm met the granular sleeping powder, and suddenly a sky full of flames was burned. The sleeping powder was destroyed before it could make any progress. Roar. Dragon Dance. While Venusaur was avoiding the firestorm, Charmeleon's momentum suddenly increased, and even his body looked stronger in an instant. Meow. Flower Dance. After a lot of effort, Venusaur finally used up the energy of the Heat Wind skill. In order to make up for the consumed physical strength, Venusaur also used Flower Dance to improve its strength. Swish. Charmeleon has always been good at fighting, so with a series of steps, Charmeleon quickly rushed towards Venusaur. Vulps. Leaf Blade. Charmeleon couldn't be allowed to get close easily. After all, Venusaur was definitely not as good as Charmeleon, so Angie quickly commanded Venusaur to block it. Swish, swish, swish. As Venusaur jumped, leaves like blades suddenly appeared in the sky. The blades kept spinning and gathering. The speed was getting faster and faster, and finally it was like a tornado, surging and carrying terrifying power to attack Charmeleon. Charmeleon, be careful. The storm came too fast. Liu only had time to remind it. As for whether it could avoid it, it all depended on Charmeleon itself. Roar. Energy Bomb. At this time, only the energy bomb was released the fastest, so Charmeleon directly condensed 3 or 5 energy bombs and smashed them into the storm on the opposite side, hoping to gain something. Chi-chi-chi. But the result was contrary to expectations. The energy bomb only smashed a few holes in the storm, but then it returned to its original state. There was no time to react. Charmeleon could only stretch out his arms to block himself and reduce the damage. The sharp blades cut Charmeleon's body, and although Charmeleon's defense was not weak, it could not withstand the invasion of the blades. Roar. Dragon's Wrath. Feeling the pain all over his body, coupled with the continuous bleeding, although the wound was very small, Charmeleon still could not stand this kind of frustration. Boom. The dragon-shaped phantom roared and attacked Venusaur, but Venusaur dodged it with the Vine Whip skill, and the attack splashed dust all over the ground. Sure. Although the attack did not work, Charmeleon found a better opportunity and ran quickly, and in the blink of an eye, he arrived at the position where Venusaur was. Because he used the Vine Whip to hit the ground, he avoided Charmeleon's Dragon Wrath, but because of this, Venusaur's body was still in midair, falling rapidly. This was also the best time for Charmeleon to attack. Charmeleon jumped up, and the alloy claws stabbed fiercely, heading for Venusaur's weak belly. Meow. There was nowhere to hide. Venusaur was hit directly by the attack, screaming in pain, and Venusaur's figure flew backwards far away, and then fell to the ground. Roar. Energy Bomb. The Energy Bomb skill has the fastest condensation speed, and is also very powerful, so the energy in Charmeleon's body keeps surging, and one energy bomb after another is shot at Venusaur, who is lying on the ground. Bang, bang, bang. Even though Bulbasaur struggled to get up, it was still unable to do so due to its injuries. It was hit by the energy bomb several times in a row and finally fell into a coma and lost its fighting ability. Hooah, hooah, hooah. The audience, who had been watching the game with concentration and calmness, saw he used Charmeleon take down Bulbasaur with one move, and they instantly boiled over, and warm applause resounded throughout the venue. Fei. It seems that Liu has not fallen behind in training these days. But if I meet him, I will definitely beat him. Seeing that Charmeleon's strength was even stronger, although Sealy was very surprised, she still said confidently, wondering what trump card she had. Well, if you can beat him, I'll treat you to a meal, okay? Fei was also happy for Liu's advantage, but after hearing Sealy's words, she also echoed, humph. As expected of a couple, your tone clearly shows that you don't believe it. Sealy pretended to be dissatisfied and snorted. Alright, Liu will definitely lose to you. You are the best, alright. Fei lowered her head embarrassedly. She was considered defeated by Sealy and quickly changed her words. Chapter 205, Double-Edged Pill Battle. Elf, Little Sea Lion attributes, Water plus Ice qualification, Diamond level, Bronze level 23 features, Frozen body effect, the colder the weather outside, the lower the temperature, the greater the effect of increasing one's own strength. Ability, talented skill, one more time, the rest are not enabled. Learning skills, Frozen wind plus signal beam plus water column circle plus sleep plus iron head skill. Anki's second elf is the Little Sea Lion of the water and ice system. Anki's Little Sea Lion is very terrifying because the characteristic of the frozen body is really abnormal. Of course, this kind of terror of the Little Sea Lion can only be shown in extremely cold places. It is still not enough to achieve the effect of greatly increasing strength by relying solely on the cold environment created by skills. Little Sea Lion, Frozen Wind, Charmer, Hot Wind. Coincidentally, the two people actually let the elves use similar skills at the same time, and the purpose is exactly the same. In a high temperature environment, Charmer's strength will be increased, just like the Little Sea Lion. In addition, Charmer consumes a lot of energy, and it is difficult to defeat the Little Sea Lion without increasing its strength. Boom boom boom. Two storms with different feelings collided with each other and suddenly set off a wave of air like ice and fire. And because of this wave, the entire venue became full of water mist, blocking all vision, making people unable to see the situation on the venue. Good opportunity. Little Sea Lion, Water Swim, Water Column Circle. Seeing this situation, Anki's eyes flashed with a glimmer, and she hurriedly shouted to the Little Sea Lion. Charmer, be careful. Another hot wind. Upon hearing Anki's voice, Liu immediately understood her intention and hurriedly ordered Charmer to use skills to remove the water mist. Boom. Boom. Two consecutive explosions reached everyone's ears, one of which was the water column tail attack of the Little Sea Lion, and the other was the energy that Charmer had just condensed in his hand and had not yet had time to activate the skill. It was detonated. Suffering such a terrifying two attacks, Charmer undoubtedly fainted and lost his combat effectiveness. Ha! Charmer, you've worked hard. Unexpectedly, the Little Sea Lion acted so quickly. Liu thought that he was also partly responsible for Charmer's failure. In that case, it's you. Shuangren won. In a water system battle against a water system, Liu didn't want to take any advantage, and he was confident that Shuangren won would definitely defeat the Little Sea Lion. Raw. Dragon Scale Blade. As soon as Shuangren won appeared, he looked at Liu firmly, and then the dragon scales on his hands instantly grew, forming two dragon scale blades. Like a Chinese swordsman, Shuangren Wan waved the dragon scale blades and rushed towards the Little Sea Lion, and the speed was also not inferior to his attack. Little Sea Lion, Frozen Wind, Signal Beam. First use the Frozen Wind skill, which can not only block Shuangren Wan's advance, but also increase its own strength. It is a two-pronged approach, so Anki will naturally not give up. HMPH. Ignoring the whistling cold wind, Shuangren Wan's speed was reduced, but he still rushed forward quickly with undiminished momentum. Swish. Boom. The body moved slightly to the right, and Shuangren Wan easily avoided the attack of the signal beam. Raw. Blade back strike. The Little Sea Lion's movement speed was not fast, so it was easy for the double-edged pill to get close to him. The powerful back of the dragon scale blade hit him hard. Woo woo woo. The Little Sea Lion cried out in pain twice and fell to the ground and struggled to get up. Boom boom. The figure retreated, and the double-edged pill blasted out a freezing ray again, and the attack hit again. Swish swish swish. The dragon scale blade swung again, and the double-edged pill cut the Little Sea Lion's body without mercy and took the Little Sea Lion away with a set of combos. Thank you for your hard work, Little Sea Lion. Anki felt a little bit unacceptable about the current result, because she really didn't expect that the gap between the Little Sea Lion and the double-edged pill's strength would be so big. But the fact is that the double-edged pill is Liu's trump card, and the White Sea Lion is not Anki's trump card spirit, so this result is also destined. Elf, Nidorina attribute, Poison qualification, Diamond level, Bronze level 24 features, Fighting spirit effect. If the gender is the same as the opponent, the strength will be increased. Ability, innate skill, Petrification. Others are not activated. Learning skills. Bite plus crazy scratching plus poison needle plus continuous kick plus venom attack Nidorina. Continuous kick. Anki's third elf is Nidorina of the poison type. It is also a very common elf, but its attributes are also very powerful. Go forward. Double-edged Meru. Dragon scale blade. For close combat, double-edged Meru will never be afraid of any elf. Solely you directly commanded double-edged Meru to rush forward. Bang bang bang. The two elves collided directly. For elves who are good at close combat, evading and dodging battles is a shame. Double-edged Meru's dragon scale double blades are extremely sharp, and every time he launches an attack, he also carries a faint pressure. Especially after injecting energy, the power of the attack is even more amplified. Nidorina was also very powerful, with a figure flashing quickly, and her fists and feet swinging with great momentum. Raw. Dragon scale blade. Using the fighting skills that Liu taught him, Xuan Gaianwen stabbed Nidorina's body with a cold flash of dragon scale blade at a strange angle. Nidorina. Petrification. There was no way to avoid it, so Anki simply let Nidorina seize the opportunity and counterattack. Sure. Buzz. The attacks of both sides hit the opponent at the same time. Although Nidorina was in great pain, the energy in her hand did not fluctuate at all, and it was obvious that she was holding on. Xuan Gaianwen was also affected by the petrification skill, and his new ability was slowed down, and his body also became like stone at one moment, and returned to normal at another. Obviously, Nidorina's petrification attack skill had a great impact on Xuan Gaianwen, and it was even possible to petrify him, but how it would work depended on Xuan Gaianwen's resistance. Quickly mobilizing the water energy in his body, Xuan Grenmaru wanted to get rid of the feeling that his body was about to be petrified. Bite. At this moment, Nidorina took the opportunity to attack, and bit Xuan Grenmaru's arm fiercely. And with it, a corrosive toxin invaded Xuan Grenmaru's body. Raw. It seemed that, because of the attack, Xuan Grenmaru became more sober. With a roar, he instantly launched the water dragon cannon skill. Boom. The distance was too far, and Nidorina was directly hit by the attack, and completely took the damage of the water dragon cannon. There is no doubt that she lost her combat effectiveness directly. Chapter 206 Anki's Ace Elf. Elf. Gardevoir attributes. Psychic plus fairy qualification. Legendary level. Bronze level 25 features. Super perception effect. With superpowers, you can sense the opponent's attack in advance. Depends on the strength of both parties. Ability. Talented skills. Black eyes. The strange side carries a strong pressure, which may cause the opponent to fall into a state of fear. Misty field. Cover the ground with mist, blocking the opponent's sight, while interfering with the opponent's mental induction ability. The rest are not opened. Learning skills. Absorbing kiss plus healing wave plus instant teleport plus shadow clone plus magic blade leaf. There is no doubt that Anki's last elf is Gardevoir. Therefore, it is also unquestionable that Liu's elf is also a psychic type Yangira. And after seeing the attributes of Gardevoir, Liu felt that among all his elves, only Yangira could compete with Gardevoir. Various skills with special effects. If it is those elves that are good at attacking, such as Charmeleon, Double-Edged Pill, etc., they will definitely be exhausted to death by the opponent. Only Yangira, who has the teleportation skill, can dodge the attack more easily through teleportation, counterattack, and even win. Moreover, Gardevoir has 7 skills, including teleportation, and its level has reached 25. If other Pokémons compete with it, they will definitely lose. However, Yangira can rely on his super mental power to narrow or even level this huge gap. Yangira, come on, I believe you can definitely beat him. No matter how strong the opponent is, we will only be stronger. Using the ability of telepathy, Liu's affirmative tone and firm attitude show his undoubted belief in Yangira's strength. Jilla, I will definitely win. Yangira also looked at Liu firmly and said this seriously. Gardevoir, black eyes. Seeing Liu's Pokémon, which is also a psychic type Yangira, Anki's eyes showed a trace of thought, and I don't know what kind of tactics he is considering. Yangira, let's do it too. Miracle Eye. Having learned about Gardevoir's skill information in advance, Liu naturally knew the effect of the Black Eyesight skill, so he was able to quickly come up with a method to target it. But the pupils of both parties changed at the same time. Gardevoir's eyes became like black holes, strange and cold, as if they could drag the opponent into hell. Yang Jira's eyes were not hazy and dazzling, as if they had colored pupils. From Yang Jira's eyes, it seemed that an invisible tunnel shot out directly, and the target connected was Gardevoir. A steady stream of mysterious energy flowed directly to Gardevoir through the tunnel, and the mental attack was launched instantly. Of course, Gardevoir would definitely not sit and wait for death. While the black pupils looked directly at the opponent, the invisible mental power was also guarding its own mental sea. Boom. Sure enough, just as Gardevoir had just formed a mental defense, Yang Jira's mysterious energy directly bombarded the defense shield, and a silent explosion sounded in Gardevoir's mental sea. Although it did not suffer any damage, the aftermath of the explosion still had a certain impact on Gardevoir's mental power. Gardevoir, Misty Field. The first collision ended with Gardevoir suffering a small loss. Anki quickly asked Gardevoir to show her moves to avoid greater damage. Yang Jira, stop her. The Misty Field can not only affect vision, but also affect mental perception. Although Yang Jira's mental power is strong, Liu dare not guarantee that Yang Jira can definitely break through the mental shield. Jilla. Illusion attack. Instantly responding to the call, Yang Jira directly condensed her mental beam and instantly shot it at Gardevoir, who was condensing the attack. Swish. But just when the attack was about to hit, Gardevoir's figure disappeared directly. Liu really didn't expect that Gardevoir could use teleportation while condensing the attack. But Gardevoir appeared again, with itself as the center, continuously gushing out thick white mist. This white mist seemed to have a slight color, as if it had some special effect. Yang Jira, stay alert at all times. Pay attention to the surrounding situation, and be careful of Gardevoir's sneak attack. Be ready to counterattack at any time. Liu sighed helplessly in his heart. He really didn't expect Gardevoir to be so powerful, so he could only secretly tell Yang Jira to be careful. Yang Jira. Shadow clone. Energy surged out instantly, and Gardevoir's shadow disappeared directly, and then split into 5 shadow clones plus the main body. A total of 6 Gardevoirs rushed towards Yang Jira. Shua. 6 figures flashed around Yang Jira, but they just kept interfering, and did not launch any attacks. This invisible power did have a certain impact on Yang Jira, making his mental power highly concentrated, always alert to the attacks that could come at any time. Yang Jira. Magic Blade. Finally, as if it felt that the time had come, Gardevoir stopped interfering and directly launched the strongest attack skill. The sharp blade was like a flying knife, and it was an enlarged version, whistling towards Yang Jira. The shadow clone also released the same skill. Although it had no attack effect, it affected Yang Jilla's judgment. Jilla. Yang Jilla seemed to have noticed something, but he didn't dare to act rashly. Instead, he chose to use static to control dynamics. But when the attack approached, it was too late to dodge. But since the attack could no longer be avoided, Yang Jilla could only condense a mental shield at the fastest speed. Kai. Caught off guard, the condensed shield was limited in power after all, and could not withstand the cutting of the magic blade. Bang bang bang. Just like a kitchen knife cutting into a watermelon, the magic blade directly broke through the defense and hit Yang Jilla, who was protecting the center. Jilla. Even though the magic blade was not a physical body, its power was not weaker than the attack of a sword. Yang Jilla was directly cut by a wound, and blood kept flowing out slowly. Jilla. Illusion attack. Painfully launching a counter-attack, Yang Jilla's attack instantly hit the 3 clones and broke them, but it was a pity that it did not hit the real body. But it's also good this way. If all the clones are eliminated, then the real body will still have nowhere to escape, right? Thinking of this, Yang Jilla once again concentrated his attack, and attacked the places around him where there were energy fluctuations in his mental perception. Boom. Boom. The mental attack worked again. Perhaps it was because they didn't expect Yang Jilla to be so confident that he dared to move like this in the midst of mental shielding. Gardevoir's real body was hit by the attack. Jilla. Good opportunity. Teleport. Hearing Gardeva's cry of pain, young Jilla's eyes lit up, and his figure disappeared instantly, flashing towards the direction where the sound came from. Huh. Where's the person? Not good. Chapter 207 Advancement again. However, when young Jira came to the place where the sound came from, he did not find the figure of Gardeva. He thought to himself that it was not good, and young Jira was about to teleport away. Nay. Absorbing kiss. It was still a step too late. Young Jira only heard Gardeva's faint voice coming from behind. He only had time to turn around, and then young Jira saw a bright red lip floating and tightly attached to his body. This bright red lip was not only like a maggot on the tarsal bone, but also would constantly absorb the energy in young Jira's body and then feed it back to Gardeva. No wonder Jiang said before that Anki was best at Gardeva's consumption tactics. After learning this disgusting skill, ordinary Pokémon can't get rid of it at all and can only be slowly consumed until they lose their combat effectiveness. Jilla. Petrification. However, young Jira is not among them, and there are several ways to get rid of this skill effect, and using the petrification skill is one of them. After the body was petrified, the energy in young Jira's body would also be frozen, and the flaming red lips like maggots on the tarsal bones would automatically fall off. Jilla. Teleport. While the body was changing quickly, young Jira had recovered from the petrified state. Not only did he successfully get rid of the negative state, but he also did not let Gardeva catch his inability to move and attack him. The figure disappeared again, and this time young Jira was more vigilant. After a failure, young Jira would naturally not be easily calculated by Gardeva again. This time it was Gardeva's turn to be in a passive position, because after young Jira's figure disappeared, no matter how she sensed, she could not find young Jira's position. The positions of the two sides were instantly exchanged. Unable to find young Jira's position, in order to avoid being attacked, Gardeva could only defend vigilantly and dared not move easily. Jilla. The reason why Gardeva could not detect young Jira's position was because young Jira was in a wonderful space at this time. This wonderful space was like a space mezzanine, and the outside world could not detect it at all. However, young Jira, who was in a strange space, could actively launch an attack. Jilla. Illusion attack. The sudden attack was launched, and young Jira did not attack Gardeva at all, but attacked the field next to Gardeva. Because young Jira is now using mental suppression, constantly harassing Gardeva, let her always maintain a highly concentrated mental state. This is absolutely a very serious consumption of Gardeva's mental power. Coupled with the constant dodging, it is like a frightened bird, and the energy will continue to be consumed. Bang bang bang. With phantom attacks again and again, young Jira relied on his own advantages to continuously attack Gardeva. And although it was a harassment strategy, the aftermath of the attack would still cause certain damage to Gardeva, and also consume Gardeva to a certain extent. Jilla. Mental attack. Perhaps it felt that the time had come. Young Jira concentrated his attack very seriously this time. Highly concentrated his energy just to hit the opponent with one shot. Perhaps sensing the crisis, Gardeva's spirit suddenly tensed up, and its mental sense scanned the surroundings, hoping to find the source of the crisis. Boom. Just before the attack hit, Gardeva reacted. Being too vigilant made her a little nervous, and her sensitivity to the attack was greatly reduced. With a scream, the mental attack brought not only physical damage, but also mental pain and torture. Jilla. Illusion attack. Gardeva's status was already endangered, and it only needed to finish off the enemy to get an upgrade, so young Jira directly threw out another illusion beam and KO'd Gardeva directly. Ding, the battle is over. Charmeleon gained 1000 experience points, and the current level was 20, 68%. Double-Edged Meru gained 1000 experience points, and the current level was 20, 78%. Young Jira gained 2000 experience points, and the current level was 20, 81%. The moment the battle ended, the system's prompt sound also came, announcing that Liu won the battle, and Charmeleon and the others also gained corresponding experience. Just after young Jira defeated Gardeva, an inexplicable force suddenly enveloped the field, dispersing the mist and revealing the scene inside. You won. Seeing the result of the battle on the field, Anki just said this sentence and took back Gardevoir. Then she walked off the stage without saying a word and walked towards the direction of the Pokémon hospital. Wow. At this time, the audience also reacted, and then warm applause sounded like a tide, which lasted for a long time. Let us congratulate contestant Liu for winning, and of course thank our Miss Anki. Without the two of them, we would not be able to see such a wonderful battle today. Jiangjin was obviously very good at dealing with people. He did not ignore Liu's victory status, and did not forget to take care of Anki's defeated mood. Wow. Warm applause rang out again, and Liu smiled and thanked the host Jiangjin and the audience below. Finally, Liu's eyes could not help but sweep over loiter on the high platform, but he still saw that half-smiley expression, which made Liu's back feel inexplicably cold. Let's invite the two sides of the next battle. The one on the right is Yulang Zunz from the Yulang clan. As a talented child of the Dragon clan, he is. Just when Liu had just stepped off the stage and was about to go to the audience to find Shilin Fui, the name of the fighting player announced by Jiangjin made him pause. Yulang Zunz. Liu remembered this name very clearly, and he could be said to have kept it in mind. Because in Liu's heart, he had always wanted to teach this guy a good lesson. And now, it's just right to see the opponent's fighting talent and the strength of his elves. Knowing yourself and the enemy, you can win every battle. So Liu directly gave up the idea of going back to the hotel, and quickly came to sit next to Shilin Fui, quietly waiting for the battle to begin. The battle began, and Yulang Zunz's first elf was a Night Snail of the Bug and Steel types, and the level was also up to level 27. His opponent was also a female trainer, and her strength was much worse than that of Yulang Zunz. Her first Pokémon was just a level 23 electric, and flying conductive flying Squirrel. As soon as Night Snail appeared, he rushed forward without dodging, and the level spear in his hand, stabbed at the conductive flying Squirrel with a cold light. After just a few rounds, the conductive flying Squirrel, even with its flying ability, could not match the agility of Night Snail, and was taken away in one set. Chapter 208, Yulang Zunz's strength. The girl seemed very unconvinced. Although the opponent was a member of the family, she had no intention of giving up. She released another Pokémon. This time, perhaps she wanted to take back the battle, so the Pokémon the girl released was much more powerful than the first one. Sulipa, a psychic Pokémon, is a Pokémon that is very good at hypnosis and likes to sleep, just like Yangira. Sulipa's level is also as high as 26, which should be one of the girl's most powerful Pokémon, or the only one. The battle started again, and this time the girl's strength was finally brought into play. Through Sulipa's hypnosis ability and the rapid movement of her figure through telekinesis, Sulipa and Night Snail fought evenly, and there was no winner. However, after a long attack, one side must be the first to reveal a flaw, and that person is obviously not Yulang Zunz. The girl should not be very good at close combat like Night Snail, so her reaction speed is a bit lacking. The Night Snail caught the opportunity by accident, and launched a fierce attack continuously. Attack on Sulipa. And Sulipa, perhaps in a last gasp, before losing his fighting power, actually used all his strength to use the petrification skill, which petrified the Night Snail completely. At this point in the battle, the girl had obviously shown signs of defeat, but she still pursed her lips, obviously wanting to continue fighting. Ignoring anyone and anything in the outside world, Yulang Zunz always looked disdainful, as if he was so great. Without any thought, Yulang Zunz's second Pokémon appeared. The moment its figure appeared, it shocked the audience again. Baby Tyrannosaurus, a Pokémon of Rock and Dragon. I didn't expect that Yulang Zunz, in addition to the ace Pokémon single-headed dragon, actually had a dragon Pokémon. And the level of Baby Tyrannosaurus is as high as 28, and its skills are even more powerful. In comparison, the girl's third Pokémon is a bit dwarfed. Poison Rose of Grass and Poison is also a very rare Pokémon, but it is much worse than Baby Tyrannosaurus. After all, it has dragon attributes. At the beginning of the battle, the Baby Tyrannosaurus rushed directly towards the Poison Rose, but because it was not as agile as the Poison Rose, its attacks failed repeatedly. The Poison Rose relied on its agility, poisoning skills, poison needles, paralysis powder, parasitic seeds, and super absorption to continuously consume the physical strength of the baby Tyrannosaurus. But the baby Tyrannosaurus was not without other abilities. The original power hit the poison rose hard and smashed it to the ground. Roar. Dragon trampling. Thunder fang. The figure rushed forward, and the strong and powerful legs stepped hard on the poison rose. The sharp claws were also very powerful. Then, the baby Tyrannosaurus launched the Thunder Fang skill again, and bit the poison rose hard. Suddenly, lightning flashed, and the poison rose was covered with lightning all over. Ah! With a painful scream, the poison rose was, after all, an elf that was good at energy attacks, not a defensive elf. Therefore, the baby Tyrannosaurus's attack was effective. Even though it was also attacked by many poison roses, it could not withstand the strong defense of the others. The difference between the two was immediately determined. The baby Tyrannosaurus took advantage of the instant counterattack and took away the poison rose with a set of skills. Even if she didn't want to admit it, the girl knew that she had already lost. But even if she fought to the last moment, she would not give up. Sneeze Bear, an ice elf, is a very cute elf, but once it evolves into an ice bear, it is a very terrifying existence. But now Sneeze Bear is just a little guy at level 25, just like in childhood, cute and adorable. It is hard to imagine what he looks like when fighting. When the battle started, the baby Tyrannosaurus didn't care what the opponent was, and rushed directly to the side of the Sneeze Bear, and the huge dragon tail swept towards the Sneeze Bear fiercely. Roar. Focus on the attack. The seemingly harmless Sneeze Bear, when the baby Tyrannosaurus's attack was about to hit, he stretched out his hands and tried to block the baby Tyrannosaurus's attack. Bang! What shocked everyone was that the Sneeze Bear actually did it. Although he took a step back due to the strong impact, the Sneeze Bear firmly grabbed the baby Tyrannosaurus's tail. Roar. Throw. What was even more shocking was that Sneeze Bear actually wanted to throw the baby Tyrannosaurus out. His arms suddenly became even bigger, and Sneeze Bear concentrated all his strength on his legs, especially his hands. Although his face looked a little reluctant, Sneeze Bear threw the baby Tyrannosaurus out directly. Bang! The baby Tyrannosaurus flew 4 or 5 meters before it landed on the ground. It must be very uncomfortable to hit the ground with hundreds of pounds of weight. Roar. Rampage. Following the figure of the baby Tyrannosaurus flying out, the ice bear also rushed forward, and his body hit the baby Tyrannosaurus again, shaking it to the ground again, before it could stand still. Roar. Frozen fist. He swung his fists, and the frost fists, with a chilling breath, hit the baby Tyrannosaurus one by one. Roar. The baby Tyrannosaurus suffered a series of attacks, and was naturally very angry. Finally standing up, the baby Tyrannosaurus also shook his big head and fought with Sneeze Bear. Roar. Saltwater. Roar. Primal power. They stood still and stared at each other, and the two elves released long-range attacks at the same time. The water column and the energy light column collided directly in mid-air. Seeing that the attack was ineffective, the two elves approached again and launched close-range attacks together. But Sneeze Bear was still a little behind. The level, talent, and attributes were all inferior to the baby Tyrannosaurus. Roar. The pause was discovered by the opponent, and the powerful and huge dragon circle finally swept Sneeze Bear. This time Sneeze Bear could no longer dodge the attack. With a painful roar, his body flew backwards and finally fell to the ground. The final conclusion is obvious. Yulong Zun's defeated the opponent with the help of two elves. Even if the opponent is weaker than him, Yulong Zun's strength can be seen through. Liu was not interested in watching the subsequent games, because at this moment, Liu no longer had the confidence he had before, and instead became a little solemn. Just looking at the two elves that Yulong Zun's played, Liu had no confidence at all that he could defeat the opponent 1v1 like before. What's more, Yulong Zun still has an ace elf that has not appeared yet, and he may even have other powerful elves. With this thought, Liu's idea of teaching the other party a lesson suddenly seemed a little unrealistic and hopeless. It seems that I have to take advantage of these 2 days to do a quick intensive training. Although it may not necessarily lead to a breakthrough, it is better to sharpen your sword before the battle. Chapter 209 vs Romus. Thinking of this, Liu left the competition site again and quickly returned to the room of the elf hospital. With a flash of his figure, Liu disappeared and entered the system world. Seeing that Charmeleon and the others had recovered well, Liu let them rest for a while before joining the training queue. Because Liu didn't know when the next game would start, but he would definitely not have much time. At most 2 or 3 days, at least 1 day, so in order to better deal with Yulangzuns, Liu must seize the time and improve the strength of the elves to the greatest extent. Needless to say, training is naturally very difficult, and time began to pass slowly again. 2 days passed. After 2 days of intensive training, the elves who were about to upgrade finally reached level 21. But to Liu's regret, Magikarp still didn't make any movement. Putting aside distractions, Liu looked at the opponent in front of him with full preparation. In the new round of 32-16 competition, Liu did not encounter those perverted players this time. His opponent is a handsome young man named Romus, who is from the Kalos region of the western continent. Coming from such a faraway place, crossing several regions to the Kanto region, his perseverance and intelligence are evident, and are by no means comparable to trainers. But this is normal. Which of the players who can be invited to the Sea Brave tournament is an easy person? In Liu's understanding, Romus is a mid-level trainer, and the strength of his Pokémon is about level 25. Although he is a little stronger than Liu, he is not as powerful as Yulangzuns. It is just out of reach to defeat him. Liu still has a great chance of winning. P.S. I won't write about this battle in detail. I'll just give a rough description and it's over. The next battle is the focus. When the battle started, Liu's first Pokémon was Charmeleon without any surprise. And Romus' Pokémon is a Pokémon unique to the Kalos region. Ice Baby. Elf. Ice Baby attributes. Ice qualification. Diamond level. Bronze level 24 features. Go my own way effect. Stubborn character. Making one's will extremely firm. And will not fall into abnormal states such as dizziness, hallucinations, paralysis, etc. Ability, talented skills, self-recovery, the rest are not enabled. Learning skills, Bite plus Frozen Wind plus Ice Fang plus Iron Wall plus Rocket Headbutt. Although Romus's Ice Baby's skills are not very good now, just looking at its characteristics, once it evolves into an Ice Rock monster, it is absolutely terrifying. This round is obviously Liu's advantage. The fire and dinosaurs are absolutely very restrained for Ice Babies, and it can be said that there is little hope of winning. Since he has the advantage, he and the dinosaurs will directly take advantage of the situation, launch the Hot Wind skill to control the field, and then throw out the gas bombs for free, and the Alloy Claw skills are also used continuously. The Ice Baby is more miserable. He can only use the Rocket Headbutt skill to counterattack, while using the Iron Wall skill to defend. Because if Ice Baby uses other skills, the power will be greatly reduced, because the ice system is restrained by the fire system, and it may not cause damage. But even so, Charmeleon still easily won the final victory. After all, the attribute restraint of the two is too serious. The second elf of Romus is not so easy to deal with, because this elf is actually a parasitic mushroom with grass and fighting systems. Elf, parasitic mushroom attributes, grass plus fighting qualification, diamond level, bronze level 24 characteristics, mushroom spore effect, the mushroom robe that comes with it naturally. Once it touches the enemy, there is a certain probability that the opponent will fall into poisoning, paralysis, and sleep. Ability, talented skills, seed bomb, the rest are not enabled. Learning skills, Seed Machine Gun plus Sonic Fist plus Parasitic Seed plus Paralysis Powder plus Iron Head skill. Although Parasitic Mushroom has grass attributes and is also restrained by Charmeleon, if the attack cannot hit, the attribute restraint will not have any effect. Looking at the attributes of Parasitic Mushroom again, the characteristics of mushroom spores are really too disgusting. As long as it touches, Charmeleon may fall into an abnormal state. It is still the old battle strategy. The Hot Wind skill controls the field, and while affecting the opponent's actions, Charmeleon quickly approaches the opponent. With the help of sharp alloy claws, cheap looking gas bombs, and the final skill Dragon's Fury, Charmeleon easily came to the side of Parasaurolophus. But before Charmeleon can make the next move, Parasaurolophus counterattacks. Pea-sized seeds are flying all over the sky, shooting at Charmeleon like bullets. The alloy hands blocked the front, but Charmeleon could only block some of the parasitic seeds at most, and some of them hit him directly. And after those seeds touched Charmeleon's body, they drilled directly into his body like parasites. Then, before Charmeleon could mobilize the energy in his body to expel these parasitic seeds, Parasaurolophus waved his hands, and the parasitic seeds in Charmeleon's body exploded one after another. Raw. The pain from the depths of the flesh was like a trauma to the soul, extremely uncomfortable and painful. With a roar, Charmeleon rushed directly in front of Parasaurolophus, and its alloy claws stabbed directly into Parasaurolophus' body. Bang, bang, bang. Then it grabbed Parasaurolophus' body with both hands, released the shoulder throw skill, and threw it to the ground mercilessly. But surprisingly, just when everyone thought that Charmeleon would win, the two elves lost their combat effectiveness at the same time. After careful observation, Liu found that, just when the battle was about to end, the mushroom spores released by Parasaurolophus at some point actually invaded Charmeleon's body quietly. Charmeleon was also very lucky, and fell into a state of sleep and poisoning. Therefore, the situation on the field became that the two elves lost their combat effectiveness at the same time. Unexpectedly, the final result was like this. Liu could only sigh secretly. Charmeleon had bad luck. This kind of thing really couldn't be said. He poured a bottle of potion to remove the abnormal state into Charmeleon, and then Liu encouraged Charmeleon and took him back to the system world. Liu's second elf was Shuang Bianwen. As one of his ace elves, he would be on the field in almost every battle. Roma's third elf is even more powerful, and is also a unique elf in the Kalos region. Battle Bird. Elf. Battle Bird attributes. Fighting plus flying qualifications. Diamond level. Bronze level 25 features. Soft feather effect. Soft and smooth feathers can improve the dodge rate of attacks, and improve the defense. Abilities. Talented skills. High speed movement plus breaking air slash. Others are not enabled. Learning skills. Wing attack plus rest plus turn attack plus come again plus hand knife. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210 Victory over Romus. Unexpectedly, Romus's elf turned out to be a fighting bird. Flying elves have always been Liu's weak spot. Although he has always wanted to subdue one, this kind of thing is about fate and cannot be forced. Now that he encounters this type of elf again, although it is not impossible for Shuangbi and Maru to win, it is not so easy to win. At the beginning of the battle, the fighting bird's figure flashed quickly, and its wings as sharp as blades slashed straight at Shuangbi and Maru. With a flexible flash, Shuangbi and Maru easily avoided the attack of the fighting bird, but she did not stabilize her body. Sure. Unexpectedly, the fighting bird actually used a spinning attack, turning around in an instant, and attacking Shuangbi and Maru again. After Shuangbi and Maru sensed the danger, the dragon scale blade instantly blocked behind him. Unless the fighting bird wanted to fight to a draw, he would never dare to rush up. Zao. With a long whistle, the fighting bird temporarily changed its moves, and its figure suddenly rose, and its wings flashed quickly like a tornado, and then countless wind blades appeared instantly. Sure. The wind blades filled the sky, blocking Shuangren-Maru's retreat. Shuangren-Maru, who had nowhere to hide, could only take this move forcefully. Bang, bang, bang. Through the dragon scale blade, Shuangren-Maru also swung out several energy blades, colliding with the wind blades of the fighting bird. Sure. But in the end, the wind blades still hit Shuangren-Maru, and two clearly visible wounds were cut directly on his body. Freezing ray. With his feet on the ground, Shuangren-Maru jumped into the air, and his hands directly condensed freezing rays. Bang. Even though the fighting bird was very fast, the freezing ray still hit his body, instantly freezing half of his body. With its wings frozen, the fighting bird could not keep its balance, and it fell directly to the ground, which was exactly the time for Shuangren-Maru to counterattack. The figure flashed to the fighting bird, and the back of the knife hit it, and the dragon scale blade, the continuous attack, fell directly on the fighting bird. Undoubtedly, the fighting bird lost the battle directly. Although Shuang Bianwen won the victory, the 2 clearly visible wounds were still bleeding, slowly consuming his physical strength. Romus' last elf, as expected, is still a unique elf in the Kalos region, and it is also the initial elf in this region. Elf, Greninja attributes, water qualification, epic level, bronze level 26 features, changeable effect. After using a skill, its own attributes will change to the same attributes as the skill. Ability, talented skills, playing with mud, let the mud cover its surface, enhance its defense, and greatly immune to electric attacks. Mind's Eye, precognitive ability, sense the opponent's movement trajectory in advance. The rest are not opened. Learning skills, lightning flash plus water sword throwing plus water waves plus street knife trial plus shadow clone Greninja, the previous form of Koga Greninja. Although it has not evolved yet, his strength is still not to be underestimated. The changeable characteristics, unique combat skills, and exclusive skills all greatly increased his combat power. He is indeed a rare elf. Perhaps because of the repeated failures, Romus commanded him to split into 5 clones. As soon as the frog appeared, there were a total of 6 figures, and they condensed shurikens at the same time, just like the ninjas of Japan on Earth. With a flash of cold light, they shot towards Shuang Grenmaru. The attack speed of the water sword was too fast, and Shuang Grenmaru had no time to react, and he couldn't tell which one was the skill released by the main body. Sure. The water sword penetrated directly from the back of Shuang Grenmaru, just like the life and death talisman in the demigods and semi-devils, and the water sword directly penetrated into Shuang Grenmaru's body. As a water elf, although Shuang Grenmaru can quickly remove the water sword in his body, a short pause is enough for the frog. The lightning flash skill made the frog's speed explode, and it soon came to Shuang Grenmaru's side. In his hands, he had already condensed 2 energy daggers, and activated his street knife trial skill. Swish, 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 bang, bang, bang. But what the frog didn't expect was that Shuang Grenmaru ignored the water sword in his body, but endured the pain, and activated the Dragon Rage state. After entering the Dragon Rage state, Shuang Grenmaru's strength almost doubled. Although it could only last for a short time, it was enough. Raw. Dragon Scale Blade. A shadow of a dragon flashed in Shuang Grenmaru's eyes, and then it was instantly filled with water blue, indicating that his current state was almost at its peak. Swish, swish, swish. The sudden change instantly reversed the status of the 2 elves on the field. Shuang Grenmaru took advantage of the situation, and swung the dragon scale blade like an afterimage. Chichichi. The frog tried his best to dodge, but even if he tried his best, he couldn't completely avoid Shuang Grenmaru's attack. Woo woo woo. After a set of combos, the frog lost its fighting power, which also foreshadowed Romus' defeat. Ha. Congratulations, you won. Although I'm very unwilling, I admire your strength. Romus took a deep breath. He really didn't expect that he would lose to Liu. But even so, he still forced a smile, and said to Liu, I'm also honored to be able to fight with you. It's nice to meet you. Seeing that the other party was so friendly, Liu also smiled and said, well. After the 2 finished talking, the host Jiangjin also hurriedly came on stage to perform his duties. Let us congratulate contestant Liu for successfully advancing to the next game again. At the same time, thank contestant Romus for bringing us a wonderful battle. Nodding, Liu and Romus walked off the stage at the same time, and Jiangjin also began to preview the next game. Now let us invite the contestant of the next game. The one on the right is from. The subsequent games also ended very quickly. Liu's next 11 games were just over at noon the next day. The players who entered the top 16 were, just as Liu expected. In addition to himself and the 4 masters, Liu also had a little understanding of the other dozen players. After watching their games carefully, Liu did not pay too much attention to them, but came to the system world because Magikarp finally came out of the mysterious space. After 3 days of special training, Magikarp's training was over, and to the delight of all the elves, Magikarp finally evolved into Gyarados. So Liu was very happy, and couldn't wait to enter the system world, both to witness it, and to personally congratulate Magikarp. No, Gyarados. Chapter 211, Rapid Increase in Strength. Raw. In the system world, the 7-meter tall Gyarados was just standing there, but the power it exuded made people tremble involuntarily. Just as all the elves were surrounding Gyarados, looking at him with envy, Liu finally entered the system world. Gyarados, congratulations, you have finally achieved your goal. Holding back the excitement in his heart, Liu really wanted to laugh, but he still said it with forced calmness. Roar. Gyarados was about to say something when he saw Liu, but the next change caught people off guard and they couldn't accept this situation at all. But Gyarados was suddenly covered with white light, as dazzling as the light when it evolved. But after the light dissipated, Magikarp appeared in front of everyone. That's right, for some reason, Magikarp, which had just evolved into Gyarados, actually returned to its original form again. Fortunately, Magikarp was in the water at that time, otherwise, once it returned to its original form on land, it would definitely not be so comfortable to fall from a height of 7 or 8 meters. Lily? Looking at his body in confusion, Magikarp did not understand what was going on for a moment, and did not know why he suddenly fell into the water. Magikarp. With an inexplicable meaning in his eyes, Liu was a little worried, not knowing how to comfort Magikarp. Lily, why? Why is this happening? Didn't I successfully evolve? Finally reacted, but after understanding everything, Magikarp could not accept this reality. Magikarp. This is not completely without benefits. Although you did not successfully evolve into Gyarados, since you already have experience, it won't take long. As long as you continue to persevere, you will definitely be able to completely transform into a dragon and become a remarkable Gyarados. With a flash of reluctance in his eyes, Liu walked forward, stared at Magikarp closely, and said firmly, Lily. Although still very disappointed, it seemed to agree with Liu's statement. The fighting spirit in Magikarp's eyes surged again, with a kind of determination to die if he failed. A group of elves also stepped forward and comforted Magikarp together. As partners in the battle, they wanted Magikarp to be stronger and wanted him to have less pressure. Although Magikarp did not completely evolve into Gyarados, this news was a bit bad for Liu, but it was also reasonable. Just when Liu was thinking about things silently, the system's prompt sound finally brought Liu a good news worth being excited about. Ding, the mysterious light ball has been fused. Special rewards are being issued. Please wait patiently, and, hold on. The system's prompt sound this time was no longer as mechanical and rigid as before, but had a hint of humanity in the voice. Not only did he know to pause when speaking, but there was also a sense of teasing. Just when Liu was a little confused and at a loss, the sudden heart-wrenching pain instantly made him understand everything. I don't know where it came from. A special and huge energy was forcibly infused into his body, and then it raged everywhere in his body. The pain it brought was not only physical torture, but also mental and soul-tearing. Liu wanted to mobilize the energy in his body to stop the rise of the mysterious energy, but he couldn't even think of it. It was like a powder fracture all over his body, and he could only sit on the ground with a hideous face. However, after the mysterious energy raged, the meridians and the places where it passed became wider and more solid, and could accommodate more energy flow. The cultivation of immortals is originally a process of opening up meridians and accommodating spiritual energy. Generally speaking, everyone's meridians are fixed, that is, they are born like this and cannot be changed. Or through some strong force, it may be possible to achieve the same effect as Liu now, but the final result is definitely a life or death struggle, and even if it succeeds, the effect will not be particularly significant. But Liu is different now. Although the mysterious energy continues to destroy his meridians, it is also recovering at the same time. It was in this destruction and rebirth that Liu's meridians continued to widen, and those energies were also integrated into the meridians, making it more resilient. More importantly, Liu's strength was stuck at the 6th level of the Zuan rank, and the inexplicable restriction that he could not improve his strength seemed to be lifted at this moment. Liu's realm was advancing all the way. Zuan rank 7th level, Zuan rank 8th level, Zuan rank peak, Earth rank 1st level. Instantly broke through the Zuan rank and became an Earth rank master, an Earth rank 2nd level, Earth rank 3rd level, Earth rank 5th level, Earth rank 6th level. Earth rank 9th level. Earth rank peak. The realm broke through again quickly and instantly broke through to the Earth rank peak. For Liu, this was a very big leap. Not only did his strength break through, but he also became a master at the peak of the Earth rank. And the strength obtained by this rapid breakthrough, except that Liu's own combat consciousness did not keep up. There was no such thing as an unstable foundation as mentioned in the novel. I found that now, just like in the game, the modified version of the game character can be directly upgraded to level 999 with one click. The only thing missing is the combat awareness and the magic skills corresponding to the level. 3 hours of cruel torture. These 3 hours seemed like millions of years. After experiencing the pain of eternity, it is finally over. Liu was covered with sweat, lying on the ground like a puddle of mud, and the corners of his mouth twitched involuntarily. However, no matter how you look at Liu's face, it is an expression of pride and excitement. But think about it, although the 3 hours were very difficult, the final harvest was full of surprises. Another half an hour passed, and Liu's strength finally recovered a little. Struggling, slowly sitting up, Liu actually laughed foolishly. If other people saw this expression, those who didn't know the truth would think that Liu was stupid. But only Liu himself knew how excited he was at the moment. System, come out quickly, tell me what's going on. Although I'm very satisfied with this special reward, you have to give me an explanation, right? Liu was serious, but behind the seriousness was a deep smile. In the end, Liu directly and shamelessly wanted the system to give an answer. Ding, please explore on your own. This system can't do anything. But after waiting for a long time, Liu finally waited for this answer from the system. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. This time you are not happy, but speechless. Chapter 212 vs Yulangzun's. Seeing his own system's bad attitude, and thinking about how considerate other people's systems are in novels, Liu wanted to pull the system out and beat it up. Of course, this is just a thought at most. Liu does not have the ability to be above the system, at least for now. As for the future, it is unknown. However, even if the system did not say anything, Liu actually had his own guesses in his heart, but whether it was right or wrong, Liu still needed to verify it himself. Time passed, and the competition had reached the quarterfinals in a blink of an eye. As long as they passed this round of competition, the players could enter the quarterfinals. No matter what the final result is, being able to stand out from tens of thousands of people and be among the top 8 is also a proud and exciting thing. The 16 people stood in the center of the square, and in front of them stood the host Jiang Jiangjun. The host Jiang Jiangjun was passionate at this time, driving the atmosphere on the field. Then he excitedly congratulated Liu and the other 16 people, and hoped that they could achieve better results. Of course, these are all polite words. There will always be winners and losers in the competition, and it is impossible to be satisfied. The game finally started. First, the 16 people were randomly divided into 8 groups. The avatars of the 16 people on the big screen kept rolling, and then they stopped rolling. The list of matched opponents and the order of appearance were all clearly displayed on the big screen. What surprised Liu was that his opponent was he. Kid. Even God doesn't help you this time. I thought you would definitely not be able to get through the first game, but I didn't expect you to persist until now. But unfortunately, your good luck is about to end. Meeting me is your biggest nightmare. Enjoy the last few hours. In the afternoon, I will let you know what a crushing battle is. I will take good care of you. Although the word seemed to be for Liu's sake, there was only a sneer on Yulangzun's face. Looking at the way he looked, those who didn't know would think that Liu had done something to him. HMPH. Then you just wait. Don't cry if you lose. Because there's no mother to comfort you now. Hehe. Even though he didn't have much confidence in his heart, as a man he couldn't be a coward, especially in front of his enemies. So Liu also sneered in response. HMPH. Everyone can say nice things, whether you are a coward or a hero. We will know the result in the afternoon, and I'll see if you are still so arrogant then. With a cold snort, Yulangzun ignored Liu directly, and didn't care how he would respond next, and turned and left directly. Wait. I'll let you know the consequences of underestimating me. Coldly watching Yulangzun's figure leaving, Liu secretly cheered himself up in his heart and was determined not to let him have an easy time even if he lost. Interesting, really interesting. It seems that there will be a good show to watch, and it's worth my effort. Seeing the conversation between Liu and Yu Longzun's, everyone present could feel the hostility in the cold atmosphere. Although they were all very curious about the cause and effect, no one spoke, and they all looked like they had nothing to do with it. Because the game was in the afternoon, Liu went back to the audience directly. Because he was a contestant, Liu had his own seat and could also reserve seats for his family and friends. There were 4 games in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. It only took 1 day for all the players to finish the game. Watching the game quietly, the first contestant turned out to be Milankal from the grass family of the 3 great families. Her opponent was also a female trainer. Although she was also very pretty, she seemed a little insignificant under the aura of Milankal's genius. When the 2 sides started fighting, Milankal seemed very confident in her own strength. The first Pokémon was his trump card, Roserade. But think about it, the most important quality of a trainer is to be firm in his beliefs and never give up easily, no matter how powerful the opponent is. The Pokémon of his opponent was also very feminine. It was a Pokémon that many girls liked. It was Curlier, a psychic and fairy Pokémon. Needless to say, although Milankal also wasted some time, the final result was undoubtedly victory. The second battle player is Bufuni from Kakayo City. Her opponent is Enia from Jinghua City in the Johto region. The levels of both sides are also comparable, so it is not so easy to fight. Of course, for the audience, they can enjoy a wonderful game of equal strength. After a fierce battle, Enia relied on her luck and a slight advantage to win the final game. Although she won, Enia was not excited at all and was just glad that her luck was a little better. The third game was again one of the 4 masters, and the most mysterious one, Yu Yu Hakusho, who always showed himself in a mask. His opponent was just an ordinary intermediate trainer, and the strength of the 2 was not at the same level at all. In addition, Yu Yu Hakusho was a genius player, so the battle ended quickly. The last game in the morning was also the most attractive game, because the player was Yulingayu from the Flying family. As for why he is the most attractive, it is because Yulingayu is a real handsome guy. Yulingayu's handsomeness is not the warm type like Jiangjin. Yulingayu is like an ancient swordsman and an ancient Confucian scholar. Sometimes he looked at each other coldly, and sometimes he smiled. No matter what expression or action, it would cause those fans to cheer wildly. Under this pressure, Yulingayu's opponent seemed so insignificant, which also brought him more pressure invisibly. Needless to say, the final result was that Yulingayu defeated his opponent with a crushing advantage in just over 10 minutes. The morning game ended under the hosting of Jiangjin, but with the wonderful start in the morning, the audience had more expectations for the afternoon game. Liu and Shilinfree also returned to the elf hospital early. In order to prepare for the afternoon game, Liu wanted to adjust his condition well. The time came to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and the first game was the match between Liu and Yu Longzun's. Chapter 213 vs Majora. Finally, the battle was about to begin. Liu suddenly felt a little nervous. Although he believed in his own strength, reality did not develop completely according to his ideal. Taking a deep breath to calm himself, Liu began to think about which Pokémon he should use today to better deal with Yu Longzun's. Boy, how is it? Are you nervous? Don't worry, I will get rid of you quickly, and the final victory must be mine. At this time, Yu Longzun's, who was standing opposite, suddenly spoke. It was just that the words he said were unpleasant, and it also made Liu feel a tightness in his anus. Humph. Don't say too much, let's see the real thing with your hands. Charmeleon, it's up to you. Ignoring the other party's arrogant look, Liu directly took out the Pokéball and released his first Pokémon. Needless to say, it was Charmeleon. Yu Longzun's also released his Pokémon, but what surprised Liu was that Yu Longzun's used the lowest level Pokémon among all his Pokémon. Elf, Meryl R attributes, Dark plus Ice qualification, Diamond level, Bronze level 26 features, Bad habit of stealing effect, Innate special ability. Every time an attack hits, it will automatically absorb a part of the opponent's energy and physical strength and use it for itself. Ability, talented skills, see-through. During combat, you can see the opponent's attack to a certain extent and counterattack. Assault claws. The figure rushes forward quickly and uses sharp claws to cause a sudden attack on the enemy. The rest are not enabled. Learning skills. Lightning flash plus alloy claws plus crazy scratching plus frozen wind plus sharpening claws. However, even the most ordinary elf is still 5 levels higher than Liyu's Charmeleon and has one more skill. Merala, sharpen your claws. Crazy scratching. Yu Longzun's made a gesture of wiping Liyu's neck and then directly commanded Merala to start the attack. Charmer, Dragon Dance, Alloy Claw. Because he had known the attributes of Mala in advance, Liyu knew Yu Longzun's purpose, so he also commanded Charmer to use Dragon Dance. The strength of both sides has been improved, but Charmer has improved in all aspects, while Mala has only improved its attack power. Bang bang bang. Both are claw attacks, and the sharp claws of the two elves collide with each other, but because Mala's strength is greater than Charmer, the speed of attack is faster. Raw. Energy Bomb. Quickly condense an energy bomb to force Mala back, and then Charmer looked at the other party with a vigilant face, and new skills were also condensed in his hands. Mala, Assault Claw. Seeing that Charmer was preparing a large-scale attack, Yu Longzun's didn't care, but he couldn't let Charmer attack. Sure. The figure disappeared quickly and kept running towards Charmer, and its sharp claws were also ready to launch a thunder attack at any time. Boom boom. Finally, Charmeleon launched its attack. The firestorm swept towards Mara with a bang. The violent hot wind carried a burning air wave, which seemed to burn everything to ashes. Sure. Breaking through the restrictions of the firestorm, Mara was slightly burned, but it was not serious. The figure flashed to Charmeleon's side, and its powerful claws stabbed straight at Charmeleon. Bang! Just before Mara's attack was about to hit, Charmeleon instantly blocked its arms in front of its body and blocked Mara's attack. Mew. Alloy Claws. The claws retreated and then stabbed out again with all its strength. The alloy claws flashed with cold light. Snap. Charmeleon did not dodge at all and stretched out its hands to firmly grasp Mara's claws. Although it was still grabbed by the inertia, Charmeleon did not react at all. Sure. Boom. Holding Marexayula's claws tightly, Charmeleon rushed forward, then used the shoulder throw skill, fiercely knocking Marexayula's light body back to the ground. Sure. Lifting Marexayula again, and after a 360-degree rotation, Charmeleon threw Marexayula with all his strength, just like throwing a shot put. Swish. Drawing a beautiful arc in the air, Marexayula was about to fall to the ground when the attack came again. Boom. Bang. The dragon-shaped phantom attacked with great power and hit Marexayula's body directly. The body that was about to fall flew up again and then fell to the ground with a bang. Charmeleon, Alloy Claws. Seeing that Marexayula had not lost its fighting power even so, Liyu ordered Charmeleon to rush forward, ready to launch another attack to defeat Marexayula. Mala, a flash of lightning. With great effort to endure the pain all over his body, Mala's figure flashed by like a shadow, barely avoiding Charmeleon's attack. However, because of Charmeleon's combo, Mala's condition was very low, so after only a few rounds, Mala was completely defeated by Charmeleon. It must be luck. Yes, that's it. When Yu Longzun saw Mala's defeat just now, he didn't notice it. Even if he failed now, he attributed the reason to luck. That's right, I'm just lucky. What can you do? Liyu's mouth corners were slightly raised. Although he didn't say anything, his eyes revealed this meaning. Night Snail, teach him a lesson for me, no mercy. Yu Longzun's released a new elf again, looked at Liyu with a ferocious expression, and commanded Night Snail. Elf, Night Snail attributes, Bug plus Steel qualification, Epic level, Bronze level 27 features, Shell armor effect, naturally hard shell, can resist more attacks, and the enemy's attacks cannot hit the vital parts. Ability, talented skills, Copper Wall and Iron Wall Sharp Horn Collision, others are not opened. Learning skills, Blade Back Strike plus Self-Sacrifice Attack plus Knockdown Needle Stab plus Crazy Attack plus Preemptive Defense perhaps. In order to regain a temporary disadvantage, the elf chosen by Yu Longzun this time is indeed very powerful in Liyu's opinion. Night Snail. Although the main attribute is bug, it does not have any weaknesses of the Zerg, and it is precisely because of the existence of steel that Night Snail appears to be even more powerful. Just like the knights in the western world of the earth, the whole body is covered with steel armor, and the armor is full of sharp barbs. Coupled with the sharp spear in his hand, the power is even more unstoppable. Charmer Dinosaur, come on, you want to show your momentum to everyone. Seeing the attributes of the Night Snail, although Liu was very cautious in his heart, he still said to Charmer Dinosaur in an encouraging way, "Roar, I will definitely win." Charmeleon roared confidently. Chapter 214 vs Night Snail. Night Snail, crush him. Sharp horns. The sharp horns like a sharp axe flashed with a little cold light. A flash of silver light flashed by, and the figure of Night Snail disappeared. Swish. With the current strength of Charmeleon, it couldn't even see the speed of Night Snail clearly. It can be imagined how terrifying its agility is. Bang. Even though Charmeleon defended in advance and blocked in front of itself with its arms, the violent collision, coupled with the sharp horn blade, also made Charmeleon fly far away. Charmeleon's arms also left her very obvious wounds. The injuries on the body did not make Charmeleon afraid, but even more violent. This is also due to Charmeleon's personality. As a fire elf, it still has a trace of dragon blood in its body, so Charmeleon's temper is very irritable. Although Liu has always asked Charmeleon to control himself and not let his irritable emotions affect his reason, it is not so easy to do this. Roar. With his eyes covered by flames, Charmander rushed forward without avoiding or yielding, and his claws were also covered with burning flames, just like a flaming fist. Bang. Night Snail would naturally not dodge. For him, Charmander was not a real opponent at all. This was not only because of Charmander's physical strength, but also because of Night Snail's own pride. TSK. Hit with the back of the knife. The sharp arm, like a spear, waved out a series of after images and stabbed directly at Charmander, and Charmander's flaming fist also collided directly with it. Bang. As the attacks of both sides collided, the scorching flames on Charmander's flaming fist instantly attacked Night Snail. Night Snail also directly retracted his spear and waved it to disperse the flames. Then he looked directly at Charmander and moved forward again. TSK. Crazy attack. Perhaps because he felt that he had wasted too much time and did not meet Yulong Zun's requirements. Night Snail's eyes flashed with anger and his steps were even faster. Roar. Flame Fist. Charmeleon was already slower than the Temper Snail, and now it was even worse. Charmeleon simply waited for the Night Snail to come, concentrating its attack. Boom boom boom. The reason why the crazy attack is called crazy is that this skill completely disregards its own safety and only seeks to cause greater damage to the opponent. Charmeleon was already a little exhausted due to continuous fighting, while the Night Snail was in full condition. In comparison, Charmeleon had no advantage at all, so after several rounds of collisions, it was no surprise that Charmeleon eventually lost its combat effectiveness. HMPH. Even though he won, Yulong Zun's did not feel any joy, but snorted in dissatisfaction, and his attitude towards Liu was even worse. Thank you for your hard work, Charmeleon. Take a good rest. Well, if it's the Night Snail, then it's up to you, Scyther. Ignoring Yulong Zun's existence, Liu took back Charmeleon on his own, and then after quick thinking, he directly chose Scyther. Bang. As soon as he appeared, Scyther first saw his opponent clearly. Although there was a hint of solemnity in his eyes, after seeing Night Snail, Scyther still looked at Liu firmly. Well, it's up to you. Scyther. Street Knife Test. The newly learned Street Knife Test skill, if used first in battle, will have a double damage bonus. So Liu directly ordered Scyther to use this skill first. TSK. Preemptive Defense. Without any preparation, he just stood there casually, quietly waiting for Scyther's attack to come. However, just before Scyther's attack was about to hit, Night Snail's spear-like hands actually automatically blocked on his body, completely blocking Scyther's attack. Preemptive defense. When the enemy's attack is about to hit, automatically deploy defense to resist. Continuous use has a high probability of failure. TSK. Knockout Needle Stab. The long spear thrust out fiercely. This attack was like a killer move, and the Night Snail used all his strength. The long spear was like a dragon, piercing the carapace on the chest of Scyther. Bang! Although Scyther's defense was strong, it was still shocked and retreated several steps in a row, almost falling to the ground, and its attack was directly dissipated into nothingness. Sure. As the figure flashed and moved, the Night Snail used the back of the knife to strike, and the attack was continuous, not giving Scyther a chance to counterattack. Bang bang bang. Maybe it was because the Night Snail was too confident, or maybe it was because Scyther exploded in anger. So Scyther was not overwhelmed by the Night Snail's attack, and it was at ease. Even if it was hurt in the middle, the Night Snail would also suffer from the counterattack of Scyther. Clang. Blade attack. TSK. Blade back strike. The two elves attacked back and forth. Although the Night Snail was stronger than Scyther, it did not have a crushing advantage. Therefore, the battle became fierce for a while, and turned into a complete war of attrition. It was just that Scyther's form was weak. TSK. Copper wall and iron wall. The whole body was like steel and iron bones. The body instantly turned silver white. No matter how fast Scyther's attack was, it could not cause any damage. Scyther, who had been attacking continuously, stood in the distance a little tired, and kept breathing heavily. It was obvious that the continuous attacks just now made his physical strength more seriously consumed. TSK. With a flash of light in his eyes, the Night Snail's steel body instantly returned to normal, and then energy covered the surface of his body. His speed also burst briefly, and rushed towards Scyther. Clang. Seeing the Night Snail's attack coming again, Scyther tried to dodge his attack with his weak body. Swish. I don't know if it was because of the speed. The attack of Night Snail missed Scyther, but just as it continued to charge forward, Night Snail turned around. Bang. The sharp spear stabbed Scyther's back fiercely. This attack actually broke through Scyther's defense, and the spear pierced directly into its shell. Bang. Scyther cried out in pain, and felt his spirit suddenly weakened. His body could no longer support him, and he collapsed to the ground. Scyther, the gap is still too big. It's still a bit difficult for them. Although Charmeleon won the first game with a huge advantage, it did not mean that Yu Langzhen's was not strong, but it just reflected Li Yu's weakness. Chapter 215 vs Baby Tyrannosaurus. Charmeleon can be said to be one of Li Yu's most powerful elves, while Magura is just one of the ordinary elves to Yu Langzhen's. However, the strength of the two is almost the same. Although this is also due to the fact that Li Yu has not trained for a long time, the gap is the gap, and there is no reason to explain it. The Night Snail is even more powerful, and it is reasonable that Scyther can't defeat it. So this also shows Li Yu's current disadvantage, that is, it takes time to develop. Just like playing a game, the level must be level 1 at the beginning, and only after a long period of development can it grow up and become stronger through upgrading. Without saying much, after careful thinking, Li Yu took out another elf ball. This time the elf is also considered Li Yu's trump card elf. Double-edged pill. Raw. Blade back strike. Double-edged pill took the 2 dragon scales on his chest in his hand, and the energy was continuously infused into it, and then the 2 dragon scales instantly turned into dragon scale blades. Swish swish swish. The dragon scale blade was swung quickly, and double-edged pill was like a swordsman, and his figure flashed and came to the side of the Night Snail. TSK. Blade back strike. Night Snail used his 2 hands like a spear, while double-edged Meru used 2 dragon scale blades. As both were masters of weapons, the two finally collided. Because Night Snail had been fighting for a long time, even though his level was higher than double-edged Meru. But now his strength could not be fully exerted, and he was weaker than double-edged Meru. Raw. Blade back strike. The same move, different elves used different weapons. Double-edged Meru's dragon scale blades were like after images, cutting into Night Snail's spear hand. Shishi. Sparks flashed, and the weapons of the 2 elves collided with sparks. However, this was obviously unfair to Night Snail, because he used his own hands, while double-edged Meru was a weapon. Raw. Dragon scale blades. Just like a sword storm, double-edged Meru wielded the dragon scale blades and spun quickly, and the sword wind brought by it made people feel the stinging feeling of cold wind blowing on the skin. TSK. Preemptive defense. This kind of attack obviously cannot be resisted by a solid wall, because the Night Snail can feel that even a solid wall cannot stop this attack. Preemptive defense ignores any attack, of course. The premise is that it can be successfully triggered, and the Night Snail's luck is obviously TSK. The sharp dragon scale blade, carrying a storm of sword energy, swept over, mercilessly attacking the Night Snail's defense. In just a moment, the Night Snail's defense was directly broken. Swish. There was no word, but Yu Langzun's face became more gloomy, and he took the Night Snail back directly. As if he had decided something, Yu Langzun's directly took out a very gorgeous Pokeball. This Pokeball seemed to be made of gold, and the overall color was platinum, and there was a shadow of a Tyrannosaurus Rex on the Pokeball. The dragon-shaped Pokémon only had a general shape, but after careful identification, Liu found that it was actually a baby Tyrannosaurus Rex, and he was barely relieved. Although this Pokeball looks very extraordinary, the Pokémon in it is a baby Tyrannosaurus, not its evolved form, the Ogre Jaw. The strengths of the two are completely different. Liu can still be confident in defeating the baby Tyrannosaurus, but if it is the Ogre Jaw, then he can basically surrender. Pokémon, Baby Tyrannosaurus attributes, Rock plus Dragon qualification, Legendary level, Bronze level 28 features, Strong Jaw effect. The naturally hard jaw can greatly increase the power of bite type or tooth using skills. Ability, innate skills, Dragon Dance plus Venom Fang, the rest are not activated. Learning skills, Bite plus Primal Power plus Dragon Tail plus Dragon Trampling plus Thunder Fang. Not enough even so. When seeing the attributes of the baby Tyrannosaurus, Liu found that, even if he has not evolved, he is still a very strong Pokémon. Raw. Seeing the Pokémon with the same dragon attribute, Shuang Bianwen felt close to it, but also had more pressure. Because Shuang Bianwen is not a real dragon Pokémon after all, but an accidental product of later transformation. So for these real dragon Pokémon, he is still a little unconfident. Shuang Bianwen, you can do it. No one can defeat you. Only you can defeat yourself. Seeing Shuang Bianwen's nervous look, although Liu could not fully understand all his thoughts, he could feel his mood, so he quickly encouraged him loudly. Roar. Yes. Seeing Liu's encouraging eyes, Shuang Bianwen's eyes became firm again, nodded at Liu, and then Shuang Bianwen looked directly at the powerful opponent in front of him. Tyrannosaurus, attack. Crush him. Yu Langzun seemed to be very confident in his own elves, so he did not have too many thoughts of commanding the battle. Perhaps this was also a way for him to mock Liu. Long. Dragon Dance. The baby Tyrannosaurus roared, and first used the Dragon Dance skill to improve its agility. Although the Dragon Dance can improve its strength in an all-round way, what the baby Tyrannosaurus lacked was only agility. Long. Dragon Trampling. The first move was a killer skill, Dragon Trampling. The powerful and thick dragon legs stepped on the ground, and there was a rumbling sound, just like an earthquake. Boom boom boom. Step by step, the baby Tyrannosaurus became faster and faster, and the accumulated power became stronger. Then, it seemed to reach the peak, and the baby Tyrannosaurus came straight to the double-edged pill. Roar. Freezing Ray. While the figure dodged quickly, the double-edged pill also condensed the attack, trying to stop the invasion of the baby Tyrannosaurus, but ideals could not beat reality after all. Bang. Bang. The baby Tyrannosaurus simply ignored the attack of the double-edged pill. If it could dodge, it would dodge. If it couldn't dodge, it would simply endure it. With its thick skin and thick defense, the baby Tyrannosaurus seemed to be fearless. Boom boom. Dragon's Trample is a dragon skill, which can cause double damage to the double-edged pill, which is also a dragon skill. Moreover, this move is powerful, so the damage suffered by the double-edged pill is unimaginable. Roar. The dragon scale blade blocked his body, trying to reduce the damage, but the baby Tyrannosaurus's attack was like a mountain falling down, which was not something that the double-edged pill could withstand. Bang. Trampling Shuang Bianwen fiercely, the baby Tyrannosaurus seemed to be tired of this attack, and directly kicked Shuang Bianwen away with all his strength. Roar. A weak voice sounded. Shuang Bianwen was hit by a series of attacks, and the pain made Shuang Bianwen just want to lie quietly on the ground. Shuang Bianwen, hold on. I didn't expect the baby Tyrannosaurus to be so brutal. Although the level difference was 6 levels, the actual gap was so big that Shuang Bianwen couldn't withstand just a move of Dragon Trampling. Chapter 216 Gyarados appears. Double-edged Meru. The last attack. Water Dragon Cannon. Since he couldn't beat the baby Tyrannosaurus in terms of strength, he might as well use his ultimate move directly. The best effect would be the best, even if it was useless. After all, with Double-edged Meru's current state, his strength could not be fully exerted, so instead of continuing to hold on, it would be better to decide the outcome with one move. Even if he lost, there was still one last elf to continue fighting. Given the gap between him and Yu Langzun's, Li Yu felt that he had no regrets for being able to achieve such a record. Raw. Water Dragon Cannon. Struggling to stand up and enduring the pain all over his body, Double-edged Meru continued to gather energy in his hands, and then a water column in the shape of a dragon head gradually took shape. Long. Primal power. The baby Tyrannosaurus also condensed an attack. Perhaps because he despised Double-edged Meru, the baby Tyrannosaurus did not make any defense. Because he thought he could block Double-edged Meru's attack, the baby Tyrannosaurus only condensed an energy shell and then bombarded Double-edged Meru. Boom boom boom. The violent energy attacks met in the air, and only the sound of explosions could be heard. Then the water dragon cannon offset the attack of the original force, and then continued to bombard the baby Tyrannosaurus. Boom. Boom. Even though the baby Tyrannosaurus had thick skin and flesh, and could be said to be as strong as a city wall, the attack power of the water dragon cannon was no joke, and it directly blasted his huge body away. Groove. The water dragon cannon, which was also a dragon type, also had double the damage, but the baby Tyrannosaurus was of a high level, and had strong defense, so it did not cause fatal damage. However, this attack was not so pleasant, and the baby Tyrannosaurus still felt intense pain, and immediately roared at the double-edged pill in anger. Roar. Seeing that the attack hit, the corners of Xuan Grenwen's mouth curled up slightly, but in the end he couldn't hold on, and fell directly to the ground, losing his combat effectiveness. Ha. Xuan Grenwen, thank you for your hard work, and take a good rest next. Finally, who should be sent out? Relieved to take back the double-edged pill, Li Yu began to choose the last elf to appear, but fell into a brief entanglement. If Li Yu's last Pokémon can defeat baby Tyrannosaurus, then the opponent after baby Tyrannosaurus will definitely be Yu Langzun's strongest Pokémon, Single-Headed Dragon. So if you want to achieve the greatest record, the choice of this Pokémon is particularly important. But after thinking for a long time, Li Yu still couldn't confirm who to let on the stage. Raw. Suddenly in the system world, Magikarp, who was originally in training, suddenly became extremely angry, and then a dazzling white light flashed, and it evolved into Gyarados again. Raw. Let me on the stage. I must teach that guy a lesson. Gyarados' voice came into Li Yu's ears, and the voice seemed to be filled with endless anger and a raging will to fight. Gyarados. Well, it's up to you. Li Yu really didn't expect that. Because of the tragic appearance of Double-edged Meru after being defeated, Magikarp became angry and evolved into Gyarados again. I don't know whether this is a complete evolution or an evolution in a short period of time, but Li Yu doesn't want to disappoint Gyarados' wish, and he also wants to see Gyarados' heroic demeanor. Roar. As soon as it appeared, Gyarados roared to the sky, and the sound seemed to be able to pass through the square and reach the ears of every audience. Long. The baby Tyrannosaurus was also shocked by this momentum and took a half step back, as if feeling that his dignity was humiliated. The baby Tyrannosaurus also roared loudly, and his eyes were fixed on Gyarados. HMPH. Looking at the baby Tyrannosaurus in front of him with contempt, Gyarados used his huge body of 7 meters to look down on the little guy in front of him. That's right, in Gyarados' eyes, the baby Tyrannosaurus, which was less than 2 meters tall, did look like a little guy, and a very small one at that. Long. Thunderfang. Seeing Gyarados' expression, the baby Tyrannosaurus felt that his self-esteem was hurt, and he roared immediately, and the dragon fangs flashing with lightning bit straight at Gyarados. Name. Gyarados attributes. Water plus dragon qualification. Epic level. Bronze 20th level 54% features. King's Might effect. Naturally intimidating to the enemy, reducing the opponent's momentum, and increasing its own attack and speed. Abilities. Talented skills. Frozen Wind. Release cold air to attack the opponent, reducing the opponent's agility, and there is a chance to freeze the opponent. Already enabled. Dragon Wave. Spray a huge shock wave from the mouth to attack the opponent. Enabled at level 25. Dragon Scale Fury. Violently attack the opponent, and then fall into a state of confusion. Enabled at level 40. Learning Skills. Freezing Beam plus 100,000 volts plus Bite plus Dragon Tail plus Rampage. After the evolution of Gyarados, the attributes have changed dramatically. Originally, it only had 2 simple skills, but now it is simply an all-round master. Freezing Beam and Frozen Wind of the Ice system, 100,000 volts of the Electric system, Dragon Tail of the Dragon system, Bite of the Dark system, and Rampage of the Normal system. However, it was a little embarrassing that Gyarados, a water-type Pokémon, didn't even have a single water-type skill. However, thinking that Ice was a variant of the water-type, Liu was no longer so entangled with this problem. Gyarados, Freeze Beam. Since the opponent took the initiative to attack, Liu would naturally not let Gyarados sit and wait for death. You have to know that Gyarados came out for revenge, so you must not show mercy, let alone be cowardly. Raw. It seemed that the strength had increased too much, and Gyarados was a little uncomfortable for a while. Just when the original force was about to hit, the freeze beam was just launched. Boom. The aftermath of the violent collision and explosion made Gyarados, who was right next to him, a little dusty, which immediately caused the surrounding audience to be astonished, because they really had never seen such a powerful Pokémon being made like this by their own attack. Hahaha, boy, are you here to make fun of me? Only you would choose such a seemingly powerful Pokémon, right? In fact, Yulongzans was very jealous of Liu, who actually had Gyarados as a Pokémon partner. Although Yulongzans himself has a single-headed dragon, everyone in the Yulong clan has an obsession with possessing dragon-type Pokémon, especially Pokémon like Gyarados. HMPH. Liu ignored Yulongzans' ridicule. Originally, Liu didn't want to provoke any family, but because of Yulong Mochan and Yulongzans, Liu didn't have any good feelings towards the Yulong clan. Gyarados, don't worry, slowly adapt to your power, and learn to control it. Commanding Gyarados on his own, Liu could only help Gyarados on the spot, hoping that he could quickly control his own strength. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217 vs Single-Headed Dragon. Hearing Liu's words, Gyarados roared, but did not rush forward again impatiently. Instead, he was alert to the baby Tyrannosaurus's movements, and began to familiarize himself with his own abilities. Perhaps because of his improved talent, he quickly mastered the strength of Kuang Bio. Although he could not reach the point of being able to do whatever he wanted, the previous embarrassing situation would not happen again. Grew. Venomous fangs. The huge teeth of the baby Tyrannosaurus suddenly turned green, with a hint of dark black in them, which was extremely poisonous. Raw. Dragon Tail. Looking at the appearance of the baby Tyrannosaurus's fangs, Gyarados would definitely not let him hit him. The huge dragon tail was ready to attack at any time, ready to block the baby Tyrannosaurus's actions. Boom boom. The legs of the Tyrannosaurus Rex stepped firmly on the ground. Although the body was not as big as that of the Gyarados, its weight was not light at all. Sure. The figure finally came to the side of the Gyarados. Even though he saw that the Gyarados' attack was already ready, he still bit the Gyarados' body fiercely. Boom. Gyarados also went straight to baby Tyrannosaurus, sweeping its tail with all its might. But even though Gyarados attacked with all its might, baby Tyrannosaurus' fangs were firmly biting on its tail, not showing any signs of loosening. Raw. The deadly toxins entered Gyarados' body through its teeth, and then quickly invaded its entire body through its blood, wreaking havoc on its body. Raw. 100,000 volts. Gyarados' energy was instantly mobilized, blocking the flow of toxins, and countless electric lights flashed all over its body, flowing along Gyarados' body towards baby Tyrannosaurus. Because baby Tyrannosaurus's jaws were biting on Gyarados' body, 100,000 volts enveloped him without any surprise, and between the flashes of electric light, baby Tyrannosaurus' body was directly electrified and charred. Bang! The dragon's tail swung violently again, and baby Tyrannosaurus was finally thrown off its tail, and then fell straight to the ground. First, taking advantage of the opportunity when baby Tyrannosaurus could not attack, Gyarados mobilized the energy in its body, and began to expel those disgusting toxins. Roar! Freezing beam! Gyarados launched another attack, and the bone-chilling freezing beam shot out at high speed, and then attacked the baby Tyrannosaurus. Groove! The baby Tyrannosaurus, who had just stood up, was knocked to the ground again, but this time he never stood up again, but fell unconscious, and lost his combat power. 100,000 volts, Dragon Tail, Freezing Beam. Although there are only 3 skills, each move is very powerful, especially the Dragon Tail and Freezing Beam, which cause double damage. Spirit, Single-Headed Dragon Attribute, Dark plus Dragon Qualification, Epic Level, Bronze 29 Features, Extreme Excitement Effect. There are 3 consciousnesses in the brain, so sometimes because of confusion, it will enter a state of extreme excitement, greatly improving its own attack and agility, but the hit rate of skills will decrease. Ability, Talented Skills, Evil Wave plus Double Attack, the rest are not activated. Learning Skills, Dragon's Fury plus Iron Head Skill plus Dragon Absorption plus Dragon's Knock plus Dragon's Wave as expected. The last Pokémon of Yulong's Uns is indeed a single-headed dragon, and the moment this Pokémon appeared, Liu got all of his attributes. The single-headed dragon's huge body of nearly 3 meters high, although not as tall as Gyarados, is not inferior in momentum. The lush hair completely blocked the forehead and eyes of the single-headed dragon. It is impossible to see his emotions clearly, giving people a mysterious feeling. Single-headed dragon, Dragon's Knock. With the command of Yulong's Uns, the single-headed dragon's figure jumped and disappeared in an instant like a residual image, and the seemingly bulky body burst out with amazing speed. The dragon's legs trampled on Gyarados' body continuously, and Gyarados had no time to resist. By the time Gyarados reacted, the single-headed dragon had already flashed and disappeared from his sight. Bang! The dragon head, like steel and iron, hit Gyarados fiercely, causing him to stagger. Boom boom boom. The Dragon Wave skill was activated, carrying the violent dragon pressure, and rushed towards Gyarados head-on. However, Gyarados' body was too large. Although it amplified his attack to a certain extent, it also limited his speed. Therefore, the single-headed dragon, which was 9 levels higher, could completely rely on his agility to consume Gyarados' physical strength. Roar! Frost Wind. Since it couldn't keep up with the rhythm of the single-headed dragon, Gyarados directly attacked from all directions without dead ends. Endless biting cold wind spewed out of Gyarados' mouth, covering the entire venue. Swoosh! Dragon Suction. Seeing that it couldn't avoid the attack, the single-headed dragon simply didn't dodge, so it stood there quietly. The huge dragon mouth opened, and a vortex gradually formed. Boom boom boom. Then the endless biting storm that was originally covering the entire venue was actually directly attracted into the vortex. Boom. Dragon Breath. Spray out a strong dragon breath from the mouth to attack the opponent, or absorb the opponent's attack, assimilate it and counter-attack the opponent. Roar! Freezing Beam. Unexpectedly, his attack was ineffective, and was used by the opponent. Gyarados quickly sprayed out freezing beams to offset the attack of Dragon Breath. Swoosh! Dragon's Fury. The Dragon's Fury of the single-headed dragon was different from Charmeleon's, or 3-headed dragon's phantom gradually condensed, and then attacked Gyarados with terrifying pressure. Roar! 100,000 volts. Violent lightning shot out at a high speed, directly covering the dragon's fury. Lightning continuously struck the dragon-shaped phantom, consuming the energy of this attack. Puff. Finally, the 100,000 volts offset the energy of Dragon's Fury, and then attacked the single-headed dragon again, but the power was insignificant, and dissipated directly halfway. Swoosh. Double attack. The single-headed dragon rushed forward again, and the energy enveloped its 2 front legs. In an instant, it became like a giant pillar, and then it fell from the sky, aiming directly at Gyarados. Boom boom. Gyarados also swung out its dragon tail fiercely, and then there was only a rumbling sound. The single-headed dragon turned over several circles in the air before standing on the ground. Gyarados was also shocked, and its huge body slid back a distance. This shows the power of the single-headed dragon's attack. Swoosh. Dragon's knock. Not wanting to waste time on Liu, the single-headed dragon flashed again and kicked out with its strong dragon legs. And because its speed was much faster than Gyarados, the attack was very easy to hit directly. Roar. Gyarados struggled to catch the single-headed dragon's figure and kept counter-attacking, but it was completely useless. The skills could not touch the single-headed dragon at all. Boom. The iron-like dragon head hit Gyarados' belly fiercely, and the pain brought directly knocked Gyarados to the ground. Chapter 218, Stopping outside the top 8. Gyarados, cheer up, don't give up easily, you must hold on. Although he knew that Gyarados had reached its limit, Liu didn't want to give up just like that, because this was also Gyarados' persistence. Roar. Charge. Using all his strength, Gyarados moved his huge body with difficulty, and then his speed became faster and faster, and he rushed straight towards the single-headed dragon. Single-headed dragon, go up and prove yourself with your strength, let him know how vulnerable you are. Yulongzans naturally knew that this was Gyarados' last attack, but this kind of record was not what he wanted to see. Furious, Yulongzans shouted at the top of his lungs. Swoosh. Iron Head skill. Feeling Yulongzans' mood, the single-headed dragon was also namelessly furious, pouring all his strength into the dragon head, and then violently collided with Gyarados. Bang, boom, boom. After 3 consecutive collisions, even though it was shaken back continuously, Gyarados was still crazy and rushed up to continue attacking. Roar. The last impact finally exhausted all of Gyarados' physical strength. Although the weak roar was low, it still carried a soaring fighting spirit, and there was no sign of giving up. Come back, Gyarados. You have performed very well. Go back and rest. The Pokeball was taken out, and a red light flashed. Gyarados' huge figure disappeared directly. Ding, the battle is over. Charmeleon gained 1000 experience, and the current level is 21st level 78%. Scyther gained 1000 experience, and the current level is 21st level 85%. Twinblade gained 1000 experience, and the current level is 21st level 68%. Gyarados gained 1000 experience, and the current level is 21st level 88%. After the battle, all the Pokémons also reaped their own rewards. Although not much, isn't it the accumulation of experience that improves the level? Hoo-ah-ha-ha. After the battle, the audience was very shocked that Liu and Yulongzans could achieve such a record in the battle. Because the level information of the two can be learned through the Elf Encyclopedia, most of the audience has a clear understanding of their strength. But despite this, Liu was still able to break through the disadvantage and force Yulongzans to the current point. It was not until Yulongzans used his trump card Elf that he won the final victory. Thank you Liu and Yulongzans for bringing us a wonderful duel. Let us thank them with warm applause. At this time, the host Jiangjin also walked onto the stage and nodded to the two, but Yulongzans ignored him and turned away directly. With an awkward smile, Jiangjin began to host the game again, and Liu also looked at the surrounding scenes and deeply imprinted them in his mind. Because Liu must remember that this is the first place where he participated in the competition. Although he did not get a very good ranking, it was the beginning of his true understanding of the magical continent. Liu, I didn't expect you to fail this round of competition. To be honest, it's a pity. But it's so satisfying that you beat that arrogant guy like this. Seeing Liu return to the audience, Shi Linfei hadn't spoken yet, but Seely was chattering non-stop. From her tone, it seemed that she was also very unhappy with Yulongzans. Liu smiled non-committally and didn't express any opinions. But behind this smile, I think there should be a lot of meaning of approval. Liu, Fifi, I wonder what your plans are after this competition? Watching the game, Seely suddenly looked at the two of them and asked, well, we should continue with the previous plan and go on an adventure trip together. But what is certain is that Liu is going to participate in this year's Kanto competition. Looking at Liu, Shi Linfei easily knew what he meant from his eyes and then turned to look at Seely and said, "Oh, that's great. But I can't do it. My parents asked me to go back. I can't continue traveling this year." Speaking of her experience, Seely pouted unhappily, looking like she had lost all hope in life. "I sympathize with you. It was really unexpected that there would be such an operation in the magical continent." Li Yu didn't know what to say except being speechless. Chatting casually, Li Yu and his friends watched the game like other spectators. The 3 games after Li Yu were also very exciting. Although the excitement could not surpass the morning game, it was also very exciting. It was almost 6 o'clock in the evening, and the games were finally over. The top 8 players were finally released, namely the 4 masters, Yu Yu Hakusho, Milan Kao, Yuling Yu, and Yulong Zunze. The other 4 players were also very powerful, namely Enya from Jinghua City in the Johto region and Yas from Rainbow City in the Kanto region, as well as Hua Yuling from Kusano City in the Kanto region, and the last one is Arlen Guba from the Eastern Prairie of the Kanto region. These 8 players are good at what they do, and they are all very powerful trainers among the entire group of rookie trainers. The subsequent 8-strong competition for the championship will be decided through 3 consecutive days of competition to determine the final strongest. The 4 games on the first day directly selected the top 4 players, the second day was to select the 2 players for the final battle, and the third day was the championship battle. Because the final championship battle must be very fierce, not only the players and their elves, but also the audience need to be full of energy to enjoy the continuous battle. After understanding the process information related to the game, Li Yu and his friends returned directly to the elf hospital. To be honest, Li Yu was a little hungry after watching the game for so long. After a beautiful dinner, Li Yu and Shi Linfei finally had some free time. It has been a long time since they had a world of 2 people, so Li Yu took Shi Linfei and strolled on the quiet streets. Perhaps because the Sea God Island is far away from the mainland and is in the endless sea, the stars here are extremely bright. Looking at the starry sky, feeling the cool sea breeze, accompanied by a beautiful woman, he walked leisurely on the street. Although it was ordinary and without surprises, life is sometimes so simple. The night was cool, and the shadows of the 2 people on the road became longer and longer, and finally disappeared at the end of the road. At 9 o'clock, the 2 finally returned to the elf hospital. Without doing any more activities, they went back to the room to rest and get enough energy for tomorrow's game. Although Li Yu did not need to compete, he still hoped to participate in the entire process of the game. After all, this was his first game in the magical continent. Chapter 219 Audience, Li Yu. The next morning, Li Yu and Shi Linfei got up early, had breakfast quickly, and then went to the competition venue again with Seely. Sitting in the audience, Li Yu suddenly felt how relaxed he was at this time. He didn't feel tense at all like when he was competing in person. Li Yu, how do you feel? Are you disappointed? After all, you were eliminated? Looking at the game on the field and the expression on Li Yu's face, Shi Linfei suddenly joked, but there was a hint of cunning in her eyes. Ha ha ha. That's right, I'm really sad. I feel so uncomfortable. I need comfort. Give me a hug. Seeing that Shi Linfei dared to tease him, Li Yu simply took advantage of the situation and brazenly hugged Shi Linfei in public. Ah. What are you doing? Li Yu, let me go. There are so many people. I really didn't expect that Li Yu would be so bold. Shi Linfei screamed, but immediately covered her mouth for fear of attracting other people's attention. Ha ha ha. The more Shi Linfei said this, the harder Li Yu's hands were, not giving Shi Linfei a chance to escape from his arms. As for the people around him, do they need to care? Li Yu is shameless anyway. Humph. With a light snort, seeing that Li Yu had no intention of letting her go, Shi Linfei could only roll her eyes at Li Yu. With a slightly red face, Shi Linfei, lying in Li Yu's arms, arched her head, as if looking for a comfortable position, and then quietly enjoyed the feeling of being pampered. These 2 guys are so dead, don't they know there is a single beauty next to them? Although Seely's expression showed this, she was very envious of the sweet love between Li Yu and Shi Linfei in her heart. Every girl has fantasized that one day, the man in her mind will come to her side, take care of her considerately, and live a sweet and loving life. Regardless of whether this illusion will happen, it does not affect the girl's longing. As a girl in her 20s, Lee will naturally do the same. Without further ado, the game begins. Because the game is not very related to the protagonist Liu, I will just briefly introduce it and forget about it. Sorry. There are 4 games today, 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, and the list of players is Yulong Zuns vs. Enya Yuling Yu vs. Yasmulong Kao vs. Hua Yuling Yahoo Hakusho vs. Arlin Goober. Maybe it was a coincidence, or maybe it was deliberately done by the Sea God Palace, so the 4 masters did not collide with each other, but formed opponents with other players. Just looking at the list, you can see that the final result is definitely that the 4 masters will advance and then compete for the final championship. In these 4 games, basically they defeated the opponent with a great advantage and advanced to the next round. The only surprise was the battle between Yulong Kao and Hua Yuling. Maybe it was because Yulong Kao's strength was not fully exerted, or Hua Yuling had an extraordinary outbreak. In short, in this battle, Yulong Kao almost suffered a Waterloo defeat. However, Yulong Kao still has a stronger foundation after all. Relying on her own strength and combat awareness, she saved the situation at a critical moment. The next day came quickly, and the 4 masters were finally going to clash with each other, and the competition system was also very interesting. Each person used 6 elves, which could better show the strength of the trainer and avoid the coincidence of the game. The first of the 2 games today was between Yulong Kao and Yuling Yu. The battle between beautiful women and handsome men was very eye-catching. After all, handsome and unrestrained looks are liked by many girls. For the same reason, beautiful girls are also very popular among male trainers. The most attractive part of this game is that Yulong Kao's A-self, Roserade, fights against Yuling Yu's A-self, Pokis. One is good at attrition warfare, and the other is good at strong attack warfare, and the final result tells us that the best defense is offense. So blindly dodging and wanting to consume the opponent until he loses his combat effectiveness, the hope is very slim, unless the strength gap between the 2 sides is enough to form a crushing. Of course, everything has accidents, but Liu believes in strength first. Liu expressed his understanding of Yulong Kao's battle strategy, but he would not apply it to himself. The second match was undoubtedly between Yulong Zuns and Yu Yu Hakusho. Both teams were strong players. It was just because Yulong Zuns was forced to that point by Liu, so the audience was more convinced of Yu Yu Hakusho's strength. But Yulong Zuns proved himself with his strength. Although he lost to Yu Yu Hakusho in the end, because of his personality, his performance made Liu admire him. As mentioned earlier, Yu Yu Hakusho is good at defeating the opponent invisibly and without giving the opponent any chance to fight back. But Yulong Zuns was abrupt, relying on the strong perseverance of the elves, dragged Yu Yu Hakusho's elves to the final duel of the 2 sides' ace-elves. Single-headed dragon vs. Haunter. Although single-headed dragon is strong, it can't do anything about Haunter's elusiveness. After a long battle, single-headed dragon was still, because of Haunter's constant harassment and attack, and Haunter's attack power was also not weak, so the ending can be imagined. The Sea God Hero contest has finally arrived. The day will finally decide the champion and produce a new Sea God Hero. On this day, the weather was very clear and cloudless, and there was a cool and comfortable sea breeze from time to time, blowing on people's exposed skin, making people feel relaxed and happy. Before the game started, the High Priest Loiter rarely gave an opening speech, but the content was very common. But what puzzled Liu was that after the High Priest Loiter finished speaking, her eyes seemed to look at him. But when Liu's eyes met, the High Priest Loiter turned around and walked directly to his position, and Jiang also blocked Liu's eyes. Liu lowered his head slightly in thought, and a look of doubt flashed in his eyes, but then he became indifferent. Because Liu still didn't believe that he had anything worthy of the other party's coveting. Amid the audience's loud noises, the 2 sides of the finals, Yu Yu Hakusho and Yuling Yu, slowly walked onto the stage. The 2 of them stared at each other closely, and they released their first Pokémon in tacit understanding. Yu Yu Hakusho's Yum vs Uriah Kotsusmuk. I won't go into details about the battle process, but the result was that Yum defeated the opponent first and took the lead. Chapter 220 Champion Invitation. In the second round, Ulingayu continued to fight against the second Pokémon of Ulingayu, Crowhead. Very easily, Crowhead defeated Ulingayu and took back the battle. After that, the game was basically a back and forth battle, and the battle did not open up a huge gap. In the end, there was no doubt that it was still a duel between the ace Pokémon, Ulingayu's Togekiss and Yu Yu Hakusho's Haunter, the fairy type plus the flying type against the ghost type plus the poison type. The strength of both sides should not be underestimated, and the two ace Pokémons, under the training of the trainer, are not only good at attacking, but also good at appearing and disappearing. Togekiss, who controls a superpower, can sense the attack of Haunter through superpowers and launch a counterattack. And Haunter, who is in the shadow, naturally has a great advantage, so that he can better play his strength. Therefore, this is definitely a fight between dragons and tigers. The audience are all holding their breath and waiting, not making any noise, for fear of disturbing the two players. With his superpowers, Pokémon resisted Haunter's attacks many times, but he was still one step behind. After the fierce battle, both sides had consumed a lot of physical strength. However, Haunter was more talented than Pokémon. This talent refers to the control of skills. Haunter is proficient in multiple skills, including the ghost skill, the psychic skill, the hypnosis and dream eating, and the evil wave of the evil skill. There are even 100,000 volts of the electric skill, the fire fist of the fire skill, and the venom attack of the poison skill. Skills of various attributes not only make Haunter's means more comprehensive. When dealing with enemies, Haunter can have a variety of strategies and tactics to better target different elves, exert all his strength, and even perform beyond his normal level. After all, the game ended under the expectation of everyone. As for the reward for the champion, it is necessary to go to the sacrifice place of the Sea God Palace after the game. Blessing the elves is a very serious matter. In order to express the awe of the Sea God, it will never be solved so hastily. Just as Liu and his group were reluctant to leave, and were still reviewing the game scenes in their minds, an unexpected figure appeared in front of Liu. "Hello, I'm the chief guard of the Sea God Palace, Atlan's. You should be Liu, right?" This is a handsome man, about 40 years old. The sage is indeed not old in the entire magical continent. "Hello, Mr. Atlan's. I'm Liu. I wonder why you came here this time. I don't think I have done anything wrong, right?" Thinking of the previous things, and seeing the chief guard in front of him who claimed to be from the Sea God Palace, Liu seemed to understand something, but still pretended to be confused. "Well, I came here this time on the order of the High Priest, and I want to invite you to participate in the blessing ceremony tonight." Speaking of the purpose of this trip, Atlan's own eyes revealed a color of doubt, and it seemed that even he himself was confused as to why the High Priest invited Liu. This? Mr. Atlan's, do you know why the High Priest invited me? I don't even seem to have made it to the quarterfinals, so the champion's blessing ceremony has nothing to do with me, right? Liu, who was thinking secretly with his head down, did not see the meaning in Atlan's eyes, so he asked, "I'm sorry, I don't know the specific reason, but since the High Priest personally invited me, I think Mr. Liu had better not refuse." Atlan seemed to be very respectful of the High Priest, so he frowned slightly at Liu's entanglement, and said as if reminding or requesting, "Well, in this case, then I'll trouble Mr. Atlan's. Please tell the High Priest that I will definitely go tonight as invited, no matter what happened." Liu thought it was better to go and find out, because even if something happened, if Liu didn't go there in person, he would never know the truth. Haha, then welcome Mr. Liu. As for Mr. Liu's request, I will definitely inform the High Priest. Goodbye. Seeing that Liu finally agreed, Atlan finally smiled. It was not known whether it was because of the joy of completing the task, or because Liu compromised with the High Priest. Goodbye. After saying goodbye to Atlan, Liu sat quietly on the sofa. His eyes were a little dull, and it was obvious that his thoughts had flown away. I don't know what he was thinking about. On the other side, in the Sea God Palace. "High Priest, I have personally delivered your invitation letter to Mr. Liu. It's just that he doesn't seem to be surprised by your invitation. Atlan's looked at the dignified high priest in front of him, wanting to say something, but he hesitated until he saw the curiosity in the other's eyes, and then he continued. Well, this is not strange. After all, he is. He stopped talking halfway, and the high priest turned around and looked down at the entire sea god island. He didn't know what he was looking at or thinking about. Atlans was very curious about the strange behavior of the high priest. Although he had never seen the high priest like this, he didn't ask any questions. It was just noon now, and there were at least 6 hours to gather for the blessing ceremony in the evening. If it was normal, 6 hours would definitely pass very quickly, almost in the blink of an eye. But now, Liu, who had something hidden in his heart, felt that the days were like years. Time passed slowly by minute. Liu, who had been thinking about the truth for a long time, finally gave up the idea of getting to the bottom of it. Anyway, he would know it in the evening, and there was no point in thinking so much now. But even though he comforted himself in this way, Liu was a little confused all afternoon, which made Shilinfei a little worried. But Liu didn't want Shilinfei to come into contact with these things, because Liu could feel that something would definitely happen tonight, and tonight was destined to be a sleepless night. As night fell, the night in the Sea God Palace was a little chilly. After putting on a coat and saying goodbye to Shilinfei, Liu walked directly towards the Sea God Palace. Although Shilinfei wanted to follow Liu, she gave up the idea when she saw Liu's serious look. Not only because Shilinfei believed in Liu, but also because she knew and firmly believed that no matter what happened, Liu would get out of it unscathed. Mr. Liu, you are so punctual. I just came here to wait for you, and you are here. Atlans was standing in front of the gate of the inner hall of the Sea God Palace waiting. Seeing Liu coming, Atlans walked up and said to Liu with a smile. Haha. That's right. Thank you, Mr. Atlans. Liu nodded slightly, thanked him, and followed Atlans to the inner hall of the Sea God Palace. Chapter 221 Meeting the High Priest. Following Atlans step by step, the two figures kept moving forward, passing through a maze-like corridor and a garden in the night. Liu had never been to the inner hall of the Sea God Palace. He didn't expect it to be so troublesome here. It was like a maze. If it weren't for Atlans leading the way, Liu felt that he would definitely get lost here. Mr. Liu, this is the sacrificial hall. The high priest and this year's sea hero, Yu Yu Hakusho, are all inside. You just need to go in by yourself. The two came to the door of a gorgeous palace, but Atlans stopped here and asked Liu to enter alone. Well, sorry to bother you, Mr. Atlans. Although he didn't know why Atlans would not go with him, Liu couldn't ask about this kind of thing. So he nodded to Atlans and pushed the door open and walked into the palace. Walking into the palace, Liu found that there was no one here. Seeing the light at the end of the palace, Liu walked towards that place. Arriving at the place where the light was, Liu found that it was a small crystal ball, and inside the crystal ball there was a shadow that kept tumbling. Ding, buzz. Suddenly there seemed to be a sound, but before Liu could find the source of the sound, he felt dizzy and the scene in front of him kept changing. Just like the system world, Liu had come to a new world for some reason. In front of Liu was a towering altar. There was a small island under Liu's feet, and the surroundings and distance of the island were all blue oceans. Walking up to the altar slowly, Liu saw the high priest standing there quietly. But what puzzled Liu was that he did not find the figure of Yu Yu Hakusho here. Didn't they agree to hold a blessing ceremony? But why was the protagonist not here? High priest? Liu called out in confusion, wanting to ask what was going on. Since the high priest invited him to come, he would definitely get the answer from him. Liu, I'm glad to meet you this time. I've noticed you before, and I thought you were just ordinary, but I didn't expect you to have so many strange things. He looked at Liu with a smile on his face, and the words he said made Liu's back instantly cold, as if his secret had been discovered. What does the high priest mean by this? Why don't I understand? I wonder if you can explain it clearly? After calming down, Liu forced a smile on his face and pretended to be puzzled. Okay, stop pretending. No matter what secret you have, I have no interest in exploring it. The purpose of looking for you today is just to receive the order of the sea god. Of course, I'm also somewhat interested in you. The high priest waved his hand indifferently and said casually, okay then. But the sea god Kaiga you mentioned, I don't think I have ever seen him, right? And he is a high and mighty sea god, and I'm just an ordinary trainer. It seems that there is no intersection, right? Temporarily putting aside the high priest's claim that he knew the secret, but then more doubts came to his mind, and Liu asked hurriedly, you don't know, so I don't know either. But it doesn't matter if you don't know these things, as long as the mission is completed. Come, put your hand on the crystal of this staff, and see what happens. The high priest rolled his eyes at Liu, and for a moment he lost his high priest demeanor, and even complained rarely. Sure. As the high priest's voice fell, a staff suddenly appeared in the void, and the staff also floated directly in front of Liu out of thin air. Looking at the staff in front of him with some vigilance, Liu was worried about whether there would be any conspiracy, but thinking of the huge gap in strength between the two sides, he seemed to have no place worth the other party's calculation. But, just as Liu's hands were placed on the crystal ball, just a few seconds later, strange changes began to occur. The sky was full of sea blue light, and the whole sky seemed to turn blue. And in that light, there seemed to be shadows of elves flashing in it. Countless elf shadows kept flashing, but it was impossible to see what kind of elves they were. Suddenly it felt ordinary, and suddenly it made people worship and revere. Bang, bang, bang. Only the sound of glass breaking was heard, and then Liu saw that the crystal ball was broken into countless pieces, but it was floating in the air, completely defying the law of gravity. Boom. The explosion sounded again, but it did not produce any effect, as if nothing had happened. Sure. A shadow flashed by, and it was impossible to see what it was, but Liu was sure that it was definitely not a living thing, because it was too small. Just as Liu's eyes were wandering, looking for the mysterious shadow everywhere, something suddenly appeared in his hand. Originally, after the crystal ball broke, Liu's hands were retracted and placed on both sides of his body. So after feeling something in his hand, Liu raised his hand and looked at it. What is this? Just as Liu was looking at the thing in his hand in confusion, the high priest who had been standing by and never spoke, his eyes flashed with shock. Ding. Found a fusionable item. Do you confirm the fusion? Reminder, after the fusion, the host can get a special reward. Liu really didn't expect that even the system would suddenly intervene at this time. And the information prompted by the system made Liu fall into shock. High priest. Although he wanted to choose to confirm directly, he thought that this thing did not belong to him, and he also broke the other party's staff. Liu was a little embarrassed, looking up at the high priest, wanting to say something to apologize, but the scene he saw made him stop directly. I didn't expect it to be like this. No wonder he can have such a powerful ability. The high priest stood there, with a confused look in his eyes, and some sudden enlightenment, and he kept talking to himself. High priest? High priest? Hey. High priest, what's wrong with you? After shouting several times in a row, Liu finally called the godless high priest to come. Seeing that the other party finally came back to his senses, Liu hurriedly asked, it's okay, it's okay. By the way, what do you want me to do? After sorting out his thoughts, his expression returned to normal, but the question asked by the high priest left Liu speechless. High priest, I accidentally broke your staff. Look. Chapter 222 Mysterious Crystal. I'm sorry. High priest, I accidentally broke your staff. You see, there are only the staff handle and this. Liu said apologetically, while holding up the staff without the crystal ball and the mysterious water drop crystal in his hand for the high priest to see. It's okay, Liu, this is my mission. Since you have already got what you deserve, it is yours. As for this staff, its mission has been completed. Maybe it was destined to be destroyed long ago. Looking at the staff and the water drop crystal in Liu's hand in silence, the high priest took a deep breath and spoke slowly. Although the high priest's tone was very relaxed, when she talked about this staff, her tone still fluctuated involuntarily. Obviously, the truth was not as indifferent as she said. Is this really possible? High priest, although I really want to get this thing, I still want to know the truth. Although this may bother you, I hope you can tell me everything, otherwise it will be difficult for me to accept this thing. Li Yu was really sorry that the staff was damaged, so even if he wanted to get the mysterious water drop crystal, he also wanted to know the truth and see if he could do anything. Okay. Actually, there is nothing that cannot be said, it's just a little sad. Speaking casually, the high priest waved his hand, and the surrounding scene changed, and the two returned to the palace again. Sit down. Came to the hall, which should be the place to receive guests. Randomly choosing a seat, Li Yu sat directly, waiting for the other party's next explanation. Li Yu, do you know the inheritance of the Sea God Palace? But the high priest did not seem to have any explanation, but looked at Li Yu and asked, well, I know a little, but it's just public information, everyone knows. Then, Li Yu told Loiter about his understanding of the Sea God Palace. Well, there are 3 things inherited from the Sea God Palace. One is the ruling power over the entire 7 islands, which is of course only formal. There is also the blessing of the Sea God. Once the Sea God Palace encounters a fatal threat, the respected Sea God will appear to save us. The last one is a staff in your hand. This staff is called the Sea God Staff, and it is a token given to us by the Sea God. After saying this, the high priest paused, as if to let Li Yu sort out the information he heard, and then continued, it has been passed down for thousands of years. The high priests of each generation must be recognized by the Sea God Staff before they can be inherited, otherwise they are not qualified. In addition to being a token of the high priest, the most important ability of this staff is to increase strength. In order to better protect the people of the sea, we must hold the staff in our hands and use our strength to intimidate those who have ulterior motives. Perhaps explaining these things to Li Yu evoked Loiter's memories, so she actually showed a nostalgic expression, and I don't know what she remembered. Well, after learning all this, Li Yu felt that he had to do something. Although Loiter said it lightly, Li Yu knew very well that the so-called amplification of strength was not that simple. Wu and I want to repair this staff. Do you think there is any good way? Li Yu communicated with Wu and I in the system through his mind and told him the current situation, and then waited expectantly for Wu and I's reply. Well, Master, it's actually very simple to restore. This staff is amplified by the power core, that is, the crystal. So as long as you replace it with a new power core, you can restore the ability to amplify strength. But if you want to restore it to the same ability, there is no way. Wu and I quickly saw the details of the staff and the method of repair, but there was no way to completely restore it. But after thinking carefully, Li Yu also understood the cause and effect. After all, this water drop crystal is something that even the system wants to integrate. If you can find the same one casually, it would be too cheap. Well, let's put it this way. It doesn't matter if it can't be completely repaired. Just do your best. You can use any materials in the system world, as long as it can be repaired. Sorry to bother you, Wu and I. How have you been recovering in the system these days? After asking Wu and I to repair the Sea God staff, Li Yu asked about their current situation. Since the 3 brothers gathered together, Li Yu rarely looked for them, because the gap between their current state and their heyday was like a chasm. So if it was not necessary, Li Yu would not bother Zion and I and the others. And they also worked hard in the system every day, constantly restoring their state through the power of the system. After so much time, I don't know how they have recovered, so Li Yu asked. Well, thank you for your concern, Master. We have recovered very well now, and have reached the strength of the Earth rank. Although it is far from the heyday of the gathering, it is already very good. Speaking of this matter, Wu and I happily thanked Li Yu non-stop. When Li Yu heard Wu and I say that he had recovered to the Earth rank, he immediately felt that he had suffered 10,000 critical hits. You know, Li Yu worked hard and practiced for nearly half a year to achieve the current Earth rank strength, and this was also the reason why he received the system reward. But Wu and I and the others, just by watching the power of the system, did not need any effort, and they had also reached the Earth rank strength. Then go and get busy. Recover well and strive to recover as soon as possible. Li Yu only felt that reality was so cruel and unfair. He took a deep breath to calm his unbalanced mood, and Li Yu still said helplessly, "Goodbye, Master." After finishing the conversation with Wu and I, Li Yu looked at Loiter in front of him again. Because Li Yu pretended to be in deep thought before, Loiter did not see Li Yu's abnormality. Great priest, thank you for your generosity. To be honest, I really need this thing, but I won't take it for nothing. Li Yu said seriously, holding the water drop crystal in his hand. Oh, what do you mean? Loiter was puzzled by Li Yu's words. You'll know in a moment. By the way, High Priest, do you know what this thing is? It seems to have some special abilities. After keeping the secret, Li Yu turned to ask about the information of the water drop crystal. Li Yu felt that there must be some connection between this water drop crystal and the mysterious light ball. However, the system could not be relied on, and even the identification ability was useless. I don't know why the identification ability of the system lost its effect in this situation. Chapter 223, Divine Objects of Heaven and Earth. Time passed slowly. Li Yu and Loiter sat facing each other. Because Li Yu did not explain clearly before, but kept it a secret, Loiter could only be extremely curious, but could not get it. More than an hour later, Li Yu, who had nothing to say, finally heard the good news from Wu Enai. A sudden smile appeared on his face, which immediately made Loiter even more shocked. High Priest, look at what this is. In the telepathy, Li Yu thanked Wu Enai and looked directly at Loiter with a smile and said, sure. Because the High Priest said before that the staff was damaged and was originally to be given to Li Yu. So even if Li Yu sent the staff to Wu Enai, she didn't say anything. But when the staff appeared in front of Loiter again, she was shocked beyond words. Reaching out her hand, Loiter took the staff with some trembling. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Finally holding the staff in her hand, the energy in Loiter's body surged out, and then released to the outside world through the staff, and immediately rolling waves appeared around her. What? This staff is actually, it's intact. No, it doesn't have the same amplification effect as before, but it can at least amplify 4 levels of strength. Feeling the amplification effect of the staff, Loiter was so shocked that she didn't know what to say. Although the current effect is not as good as before, it can only amplify about 4 levels of strength. But from losing to regaining, this feeling can only be understood by the person himself. Even if there are still flaws, it is worth being happy. Haha. You don't need to know this. Although I'm sorry that I can't restore it to its original state, I have tried my best. Li Yu smiled apologetically, scratched his head embarrassedly, and said, it's okay. This is already very good. As a token passed down for thousands of years in the Sea God Palace, it would be a lie to say that it is not important. Even if it was ordered by the Sea God himself, Loiter was still very uncomfortable. Now in Li Yu's hands, the Sea God's staff has returned to normal. No matter what the effect is, it can be regarded as an explanation to the great priests of all generations. High Priest, you haven't told me what this crystal is yet? Can you tell me? After a long while, seeing that Loiter finally calmed down, Li Yu hurriedly asked, crystal? Haha, you are wrong. This kind of divine object is not a crystal. It is a divine object that contains powerful energy and has endless power. The so-called divine objects refer to those objects that are born from the heaven and earth and always have endless power. Sometimes these things are not conspicuous at all, and some are very obvious and can be seen at a glance. Slowly speaking the origin of the object, but only a general description, no specific information was given. These divine objects are in different forms, and I don't know what they look like. If I hadn't felt the power in them, I wouldn't have known that there was a divine object in the staff. As for the location of the other divine objects, I don't know. It's just said that some are hidden in some mysterious and unknown places. Others are in the hands of certain families, such as the Sea God Palace, or those families on the mainland. Of course, our Sea God Palace can own these divine objects, which is also given to us by the Sea God. So the last ones who can own these divine objects are those guardian beasts who protect the peace and tranquility of the mainland. Seeing that Loiter finally got to the point, Li Yu pricked up his ears and listened very carefully. But after listening, Li Yu sighed helplessly. Although he knew what the system needed, it would be a miracle if Li Yu could get these things with his current strength. Those families must be guarding the divine objects in their hands like ancestors. If Li Yu dared to rob them, he would definitely die miserably. And the guardian beasts, this is even more impossible. Not to mention those guardian beasts, even the divine beast Li Yu couldn't defeat them, let alone the guardian beasts with laws. In short, Li Yu wanted to get more divine objects and obtain the special rewards of the system. It was not difficult, at least it was difficult to do at present. But, why did the sea god Kaigo take the initiative to ask the high priest to give me this water drop crystal and the mysterious light bowl before someone also asked Grandma Lan to give it to me? Who is that person? And why did they give me these mysterious and powerful divine objects? Suddenly combining the previous experience with the current things, Li Yu suddenly understood a lot, but then he had endless questions. Li Yu, what's wrong with you? Hey, are you stupid? Just when Li Yu was lost in thought, Loita suddenly looked at Li Yu and called out to the silly Li Yu loudly. Perhaps because she was too happy before, Loita didn't have the majesty of the high priest and turned to joke. Well, it's okay, I just thought of something. Although I know that the high priest opposite is not particularly old, you are not a little girl, right? Is it really okay to be so rude? Well, that's good. In the next half an hour, Li Yu and Loita talked a lot, but they were all topics that had no nutrition. Tonight is destined to be a sleepless night. Under the leadership of Atlan's again, Li Yu finally left the Sea God Palace. Walking on the road back to the elf hospital, because it was late, there were few people on the road. Breathing the fresh air deeply, Li Yu breathed a sigh of relief, and his excitement surged again. He gained a lot. Not only did he know what the system wanted, but he also got the water drop crystal. I believe that in a few days, he will definitely get the special reward mentioned by the system again. And for the so-called special reward, Li Yu felt that, if nothing unexpected happened, it would definitely improve his strength. As for the reason, Li Yu couldn't explain it clearly. He always felt that the system seemed to have some secrets about to be revealed. But whenever Li Yu wanted to grasp the clues and deduce the truth, he always failed and didn't know where to start. Just like in normal life, when you don't look for something, it will automatically appear in front of you. But when you look for it specifically, you can't find its existence, as if it has completely disappeared from this world. This strange feeling made Li Yu very uncomfortable, but he couldn't help but pursue it, even though he knew it was all in vain. Shaking his head and shaking off the strange thoughts in his mind, Li Yu walked quickly towards the elf hospital. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224 Earth Rank 6. Ding, the fusion of the water drop crystal is complete, and the rewards are being distributed. Please wait for a moment and be patient. There was no conversation overnight. The next day, Li Yu had just finished his daily practice and was about to leave the system world to go to the outside world for breakfast when the system's prompt sound suddenly came. Damn it. This is going to cause trouble. I'm going to dodge. Having already experienced how cruel and inhumane the special rewards of the system were, Li Yu didn't want to be half dead by the system again without any preparation. Just as he came to the spiritual liquid pool that was prepared in advance and could quickly recover from injuries, the inexplicable power of the system directly enveloped Li Yu. It was still the kind of pain that penetrated deep into the bone marrow, and the violent energy surged in the meridians. However, the so-called spiritual liquid pool that Li Yu had prepared long ago had no effect at all. He clenched his fists in pain and gritted his teeth, as if this could reduce the pain. After more than 10 minutes, the painful energy infusion finally ended, and Li Yu once again collapsed on the ground, sweating all over his body, unable to muster any strength. Just looking at the smile on Li Yu's mouth, we can guess that he must be happy at this moment. Feeling the surging energy in his body and the strength of the 6th level of the Earth rank, Li Yu felt that no matter how much pain he suffered, it was worth it. Although the special reward from the system this time was not as much as a level increase last time, it was much faster than Li Yu's own practice. If Li Yu were to practice by himself, with his turtle-like speed, it would not be possible to reach the strength of the 6th level of the Earth rank in a short period of time. and the system forcibly raised Li Yu's strength to the Earth rank, just because of the reward. In comparison, Li Yu must be very willing. After resting for another half an hour, Li Yu felt that his physical strength was constantly recovering, and he was able to control his body. His body shook violently, and the clothes that were soaked by sweat directly returned to a clean appearance. Seeing that it was already past 8 o'clock, Li Yu quickly disappeared in the system world with a thought. Li Yu, why did you come out just now? The sun is shining on your butt. It couldn't be yesterday. Li Yu hurried to the restaurant and saw Shilin Fei and Seely sitting together, drinking juice and basking in the sun leisurely. Seeing Li Yu's hurried look, Seely immediately started to have wild ideas, but Shilin Fei blushed when she said something else. Seely, what are you talking about? It's so annoying. Shilin Fei covered Seely's mouth with a red face, not wanting her to talk without restraint. I didn't expect such a young girl to be so dirty to the Demon King. Is there also asterisk in the magical continent? Shaking his head to throw away the evil thoughts in his mind, Li Yu felt that he couldn't think about it anymore, otherwise his childhood would be ruined. Li Yu, hurry up and have breakfast. You just got up now, and the food is almost gone. Of course, this is definitely impossible. The food in the elf hospital is completely unlimited. It is to divert attention that Shilin Fei said so. Thank you. Ignoring Seely's weird smile, Li Yu sat next to Shilin Fei, pushed the breakfast in front of him, and ate it in big mouthfuls. Because of the previous surge in strength, Li Yu felt that all the energy in his body was absorbed. He was so hungry that he wanted to eat himself. Now that he finally saw delicious food, Li Yu ignored everyone's gaze and ate it like a starving ghost. 10 minutes later, after eating 10 servings of breakfast in a row, Li Yu patted his stomach with satisfaction and lay down on the chair with his whole body comfortable. The diners around, including Shilin Fei and Seely, were shocked beyond words and didn't know what to say for a while. Breakfast time finally ended. Although the Sea Brave Championship was over, the trainers who came to participate in the competition and the audience were still interested. And it is said that the 4 masters have not left the Sea God Island yet. In this case, those fans will not leave the Sea God Island for their rivals. But Li Yu is not as willful as them, because the system does not give him much time. The system wants to upgrade the authority, and the task is to win the championship in a competition. In the next few months, the only competitions in the Kanto region on Li Yu's route are the Kanto Tournament and the Tower of the Strong on Hanglian Island. Among them, the Kanto Tournament is open to all trainers in the entire Kanto region. From the city preliminaries, the urban preliminaries, and the final capital finals. If you want to win the championship in this competition, it is not impossible, but it is simply hopeless. With the strength of a mere intermediate trainer, let alone the champion, it is a bit uncertain to pass the urban preliminaries. Even if there are still 2 months before the gathering competition, Li Yu can still strengthen his training and increase his strength. But the time is still too short, and in 2 months he can only be promoted to a senior trainer at most. Senior trainers in the entire Kanto tournament are not the lowest, but the lowest in the middle. Judging from the participants in previous years, the champion is at least an elite trainer. Even in the Kanto tournament 3 years ago, the champion's strength was as high as the instructor level, and this trainer had only debuted for 3 years. In 3 years, not only did his strength leap to the level of gym level trainers, but he also trained 6 elves with extraordinary talents and powerful strength. With a crushing advantage, he won the championship of the competition that year, and his name was also regarded as a legend, and became an idol worshipped by many trainers. Z. It's just a letter, but because his master is a champion, he is worshipped by countless trainers. No one knows whether this is his real name or a code name, but no matter what, his legendary experience can be recorded in history. According to legend, Zed is the heir of a certain family, so he can have such a monstrous talent, become a gym level powerhouse in just 3 years, and win the championship of the competition. But no one knows the details. Since the end of the competition that year, Zed's figure has completely disappeared, and has never appeared since then. In order to complete his system tasks, Liu has of course also learned about the information of the Kanto competition in previous years, so he naturally saw the legend of Zed. Liu is also very curious about this mysterious Zed, and for some reason, after seeing Zed's appearance, Liu always has a sense of deja vu. However, no matter how Liu tried to recall, he could not find the corresponding existence in his memory. Perhaps he was overthinking. Liu could only answer himself like this, but did he really believe this answer? Chapter 225 Tower of the Strong. After talking about the Kanto tournament, there is another competition that must be mentioned. That is the Tower of the Strong located on Hanglian Island. Hanglian Island is a very famous island in the Endless Sea. The 4 strongest people live in nearly 5 million. The cumulative flow of trainers coming here every year is as high as tens of millions, and what attracts them is a Tower of the Strong located on the island. At the beginning, this Tower of the Strong was a naturally formed tower-shaped dimensional world. Each layer is a separate dimensional space, and in these dimensional spaces, there are many elves living. After humans discovered this place, the Tower of the Strong also changed its previous appearance. After the transformation of human super technology, coupled with the constraints of natural invisible rules, the Tower of the Strong has become an excellent place to test the strength of trainers. Although the Pokémon Alliance has transformed the Tower of the Strong, it has not really controlled it at all. Because of the influence of certain rules, they can only passively watch the road to the Strong run on its own. The Tower of the Strong is divided into 2 modes, challenge and training. In these 2 modes, the battles fought by trainers are different. The first is the challenge mode, which is the strong points competition. Each trainer has 3 challenge opportunities every year, and the challenge is to enter the Tower of the Strong. Then the battle will be carried out in a progressive manner. After each successful defeat of the Pokémon on that floor, the trainer will be teleported to the next floor. This will continue until the trainer fails in the challenge, and is then teleported out of the Tower of the Strong. During the challenge, the optical computer system will evaluate the points obtained, based on the trainer's performance. According to the total points obtained by the trainer, a ranking list will be automatically formed in the end. This list is set up on the Tower of the Strong, but only the top 100 personnel will be displayed. The top 100 trainers are also praised by many people as Kanto Shianjiao. Why is it not only Kanto Shianjiao? That's because there are many trainers from other regions who do not have the opportunity to participate in this challenge, so it is necessary to keep a low profile. As for the trainers after the 100th place, they can also query the optical computer system through the Pokémon Encyclopedia. Of course, not everyone can challenge. First of all, the age limit cannot exceed 30 years old, and then there is a strength limit, which cannot exceed the instructor level trainer. Because once you exceed the instructor level, these so-called challenges are meaningless, and will only waste the top 100 places, leaving other trainers with no chance to succeed. However, it is not so easy to reach the instructor level, especially before the age of 30, of course. Except for the perverted guy Zed among the top 100, Zed is undoubtedly the first, with nearly 10 million points. And when he challenged the Tower of Power, his strength had not reached the instructor level, but the elite level, but he was still able to achieve such a good result, which shows Zed's talent and strength. The second is a trainer named Abigail, but his points are 3 million points less than Zed, and the gap is not ordinary. When Abigail challenged, her strength was also elite, but because she was one step behind Zed in the equipment of the Pokémon, the points between the two were much different. There is no need to say more about the ranking list. Let's talk about the training mode in the Tower of Power. The training mode is basically the same as the challenge mode, but it is not so strict. It is more simple and humane. In the training mode, trainers can choose the attributes, levels, types, etc. of the Pokémon they want to challenge. However, not all Pokémon can be challenged, such as those mythical beasts, sub-mythical beasts, and very rare Pokémon, which are impossible. Despite this, a large number of trainers still flock to Hanglian Island, whether to try the challenge of the Tower of Power or to train here to break through themselves. In short, the Tower of Power in Hanglian Island is also one of the most famous areas in the Kanto region, and its popularity is not worse than that of Poseidon Island. Even to a certain extent, it is even better. After all, due to restrictions, Poseidon Island can only allow new trainers to participate, while Hanglian Island is open to every trainer. In comparison, it is understandable that Hanglian Island is more popular than Poseidon Island. However, these are too far away for Liu, so let's not talk about them for now. Turning back to Liu, after spending another day on Poseidon Island, he can relax and relieve the tension after the battle. On this day, Liu and the others were finally leaving. Liu, Fei, I really don't want to part with you. You must come to play with me in the future. Don't break your promise. Seely reluctantly held Shilin Fei's hand, tears flashing in her eyes, and said reluctantly, okay, Seely, it's not like we won't see each other anymore. Don't worry, I will go to see you with Liu when there is a chance. Patting Seely's hand gently, Shilin Fei was also reluctant to part with Seely. Although they only knew each other for more than 10 days, Shilin Fei and Seely became very good sisters. But there is no feast that will never end. Everyone has their own way to go, especially in a world like Pokémon. Here everyone travels around the continent for their dreams, fights with different people, and meets more friends. Then you must come. I'll wait for you. Seely finally left. Watching the flight she was on fly farther and farther, Shilin Fei, who had been suppressing herself, couldn't help but shed tears after all. Fei, we will definitely meet again in the future. It's getting late. Let's go. Liu hugged Shilin Fei in his arms and comforted her softly. Yeah. Nodding slightly, reaching out to wipe away tears, Shilin Fei and Liu entered the flying skateboard together. Then, the flying skateboard flew towards the Hulan forest. According to Liu's previous route, they were originally going to continue from Hulan City, walk through the Hulan forest, and finally go to Kuai City. However, because of the invitation of the High Priest, Liu changed his route halfway and came to Poseidon Island to participate in the competition. Now that the competition is over, Liu and his friends naturally have to return to the original route and continue their adventure. But what surprised Liu was that on their way to the Hulan forest, a sudden inexplicable feeling made him stop. Fei, it seems that we can't go to the Hulan forest now, but we have to return to Earth. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.